Hello? Okay, that countdown was real. I fixed it.
Oh,
Hi.
wonderful.
Hi, how are you guys? Sorry about that really slight delay. We got a little bit of pushback, some technical difficulties getting everything situated. How are you guys tonight? How is chat?
Hello, chat.
Hello. So we are here. This is BloqTalk. We are in episode 6. I cannot believe we've already done 6 of these. Tonight I am joined by Clouder as my co-host. Voss is not here today. She had some family stuff that she was doing, so she couldn't make it this week. So it's going to be myself and Clouder, and we're going to be talking to Freeek, who I'm very excited to talk to. You are one of the first Beat Saber people I started watching stream, even before you worked for Beat Games. And Freeek actually works for Beat Games officially as a mapper. So we're going to talk to him a little bit today about mapping and working for Beat Games and playing games and living life and all that good stuff. So I'm excited.
Wonderful.
Are you excited?
Mm-hmm. It would be intriguing.
I turn the background music down just a teeny bit. So what we like to do is just start with a little bit of an introduction for people who maybe are visiting for the first time. So I will introduce myself, and then we'll let Clouder introduce yourself, and then Freeek, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of where you're from and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm ashleyriott. I'm a streamer here on Twitch. I mainly play Beat Saber, but I play all sorts of games, but I mainly stream Beat Saber. I'm getting into more VR titles. I live in Canada, and I also work in a pharmacy at the cash register, so retail pharmacy. What about you, Clouder?
Hi, I'm Clouder. I stream. I help out a lot with Beat Saber Money Group and Score Saber, and I draw.
Very cool. And Freeek, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Freeek. I go by Josh if you'd like that instead. I grew up in Western Australia, for those that aren't aware. So the whole team lives in Prague, but I'm the guy in Australia, as well as Umbranox, who's also over east. We're yet to meet. But I've always had an intrigue with music, so I've played more instruments than I can count. But as of recent, I've been a streamer for 2 years and got into Beat Saber on day one. I was one of the first to help out Ikawa in making Edit Saber and putting out some custom songs, and now I work for Beat Games themselves.
It's very cool. Yeah, I remember watching you like mapping when I first, because I got Beat Saber a little bit late. I don't know if you know my story or if chat knows my story, but I actually got Beat Saber to recover from spine surgery. And when I first started playing, I had spine surgery in April, at the very end of April in 2018. And I got Beat Saber in like July. And so before that, I couldn't walk at all in assisted. I use a walker all the time to get anywhere that I need to go. There was a 15% chance I'd never walk again. And so when I first got Beat Saber, I could play for like 3 minutes a day. I'd wake up, I'd take my little walk, and then I'd play one song, and then I would put my headset away. And then the next day I'd play 2 songs. And now I can play for hours and hours and hours, and I stream for hours a week. But when I first started getting into the custom stuff, I remember like going to your stream and watching you map. And that was like when I was first learning about custom songs, because everybody starts with just the OSTs. So I've been secretly watching you for a very long time.
I remember watching his mapping tutorial.
Yeah.
Oh man, those things.
That's the whole reason I first joined.
Man.
Oh man.
So
That's
day
cool.
one. Hey, let me pull some stuff up. Cool. So you mentioned this a little bit, but you say that you play some other instruments, which I want to talk about that a little bit as well. But what else do you do in your free time? Are you like mainly just a gamer? Do you have free time?
I do and I don't. So obviously the job is, as people could imagine, a bit different than you'd think. Rather than say a 9-to-5 job like a lot of us have, it's more like I have a deadline and then a bunch of work, and I just need to get it done. Most of the time I end up working through the night, so I quite commonly go to bed about 4 or 5 in the morning, simply because with Prague being 6 hours behind, I like to work alongside them, so I'm always available. But yeah, as for what I do in my spare time, I do a lot of music stuff, though I've never really ever produced or put anything out. I just enjoy playing instruments. Yeah, I play a lot of board games. I love my board games. Every week.
Oh, what's your favorite board game?
Called at the moment, it'd probably be a game called Concept. I've been playing a lot of that.
I've never heard of that. What is it like?
It's pretty cool. It's the concept is literally to how it works is you got a board in front of you with about 200 different pictures. Hammerman's asking to.
Yeah, I got
if
you.
you could turn me up. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, you got a board in front of you with about 200 different pictures of just random things like shapes and colors and things like that. You've got some little pieces, like little blocks. Talking about blocks, and you pop them on the pictures to try and get other people to guess what you're trying to tell them. Kind of like charades, I guess, but it's like a I don't know. Maybe you had Sonic the Hedgehog, and you put a cube on blue, you put it on sphere, and you put it on fast, and trying to get people to guess that. It's actually pretty good.
That sounds awesome,
Yeah.
actually.
It's a lot of fun.
I love board games. And you're saying you host like a board game night like once a week or something?
Once a week for 10 years we've gone now, every Wednesday.
Ashley32 love.
I have friends over, friends of friends, family, whatever. 10 years strong we've been going for.
That's awesome.
Everyone.
Also, oh my god,
Wow.
thank you so much, Magma. Magma just did a 5,000 cheer to rewards for everybody in the chat. So thank you so much, Magma, for that.
Magma.
I was actually just reading because I play a lot of Catan. 'Cause I love that game. I love being upset with my friends. And they actually just announced that it's going to be ported to Switch, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah,
Catan
yeah.
for Switch.
I saw that on E3.
Mhm.
They announced Catan. Yeah. God, Catan brings back some equally good and bad memories.
Right,
I
yeah.
have 4 sheep for 2 wood.
How
No.
dare you not give me your wheat? I hate you.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Can confirm Ash loves me. Laurel plays a lot of board games with me. We used to have this in Victoria, where I used to live. In Canada,
In
though.
Australia?
No, in Canada. I knew you were gonna ask, but yeah, in
Oh, West Coast.
the West Coast, yeah. My best friend lives in Australia. She's in Adelaide, though. They had like a board game cafe, and you could go and like order food and milkshakes, and they had just like every game ever, and it was just so much fun. I miss it. There's really not. I mean, they have them here, but there's not as good of ones here, so I'm very sad about that.
A board game cafe is something I was heavily considering a few years ago opening because of how invested I was with board games. But that would be cool.
You should open one. I feel like it would be.
I
super
have other priorities these days. But
Yeah, quit your job for Beat Games and just open a board game cafe.
That'd be great.
And yeah, so I was gonna also ask, because this is something that we ask kind of everybody that comes on. Do you play musical instruments? And we also asked, have you ever played other rhythm games? But I know that you were very into Guitar Hero, which that was really the only other rhythm game that I played prior to Beat Saber. And you can kind of tell that you've played a lot of Guitar Hero because a lot of your earlier maps that you mapped, Knights of Sidonia, Through the Fire and the Flames, Take Me Out. They're all, they're all Guitar Hero songs. But so you've played Guitar Hero. What else? Have you played any other rhythm games?
Actually, legitimately, no. I've played every Guitar Hero and Rock Band there is in existence. Oh, I played that Rocksmith game as well, but I've never gotten into the more like I don't know if it would be called like the Asian kind of games, like Dance Dance Revolution, OSU, all that. Never done any of that stuff.
I
Ever.
think Us was actually an Australia. I could be wrong though. I think an Australian made OSU. One day I'll be able to pronounce the game. Everybody says it differently, but I think an Australian made that game. But I could be wrong. What do you guys? Chat should know. How do you say it, Clouder?
I always say Osu, but a lot
I
of
do
people
too.
say it's pronounced Os.
Os.
That's usually how the opening pronounces it.
Yeah. Welcome to Os. Yeah, an
yeah, it is
Australian did make it. Yeah. But I think
Okay.
it is more of that one's pretty popular. I played a little bit of DDR, but I was quite young when I played it. I wasn't as into games at the time. And then so also musical instruments. What do you play?
We can go through that if you like.
I'd love to. Yes, let's.
Please.
The music background then. Okay, so it all started in what would it be like 2003, something like that. Primary school. They had a big test that came around. Tested all the kids, see how decent they were at being able to keep rhythm. You were then sorted in either being able to learn guitar or drums. Guitar being like the first one, and drums being the higher. I got offered the drums, and I mean, as a 8-year-old, how could you not want to just hit everything? So I naturally went with the drums. I taught that. My parents bought me a set of drums. I have a sister, and it doesn't go too well if they buy me something and don't buy her something. So that out of the blue, they just bought her a piano. Even though she didn't ask for it or anything, they just knew she would have got jealous and all that. So
Right.
there was a piano in the house, and after learning the drums, I was like, well, why not learn the piano as well? So I self-taught myself the piano while it was sitting at home. It's one of those ones that had like the little screen on it with a you can choose a song and then little dots appear.
The real fancy
So
ones.
I taught myself on those inbuilt Danny drop mix. The inbuilt keyboard keys. I then got a scholarship for both instruments into high school. So I went to a music school and became the lead percussionist for 2 orchestras. So I played a lot of instruments, including, timpani, glockenspiel, marimba, a lot to days,
what's a glockenspiel? I'm sorry.
A glockenspiel. It's kind of a miniaturized xylophone. It's probably as wide as like a computer monitor.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like ding, 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 ding. Yeah, that kind of thing. But these days, I don't do too much of the mallet stuff anymore, like xylophone and marimba, purely because they're a lot of fun, but they're incredibly expensive to own. So, but these days, like I even have them set up behind me. I naturally also picked up the guitar, just because I wanted to learn it. So guitar, bass, drums. I've been recently learning the saxophone, and last year I learned the where is it? The harmonica. That's it.
Oh my goodness, dude! Is it near you? Like, can you reach the harmonica right now? Like, is it right next to you? Can you play us?
I cannot. I thought
tune?
It was, but it isn't.
My gosh.
Prodigy.
Yeah, like what the heck?
Wasting my talent points on anime.
I feel like if I had been in that test of like piano versus or guitar versus drums, I would have gotten like the triangle. What was the? I feel like
I'm not even kidding. Right in high school during my scholarship, I had to go on a excursion with another percussionist to go see a famous triangle player. We had to sit in this crowd, and he sat on stage with just a triangle, just one, and he was there for like 40 minutes playing different music and sounds with it, and he was really into it. But anytime someone jokes about the triangle, I just can't not think about that. And even though he made it sound amazing, it's also dug it even further into how hilarious.
I like that you quantified that he only had one. Like it was him and just one triangle.
Like 50 different sizes or something.
Right. I'm a triangle master, and just like a row of triangle. What's the plural for triangle? I guess it's triangles. That was the pick. Several triangles all across the stage.
A well-made building. That's what several triangles are.
That is the most amazing story. Well, that's actually really cool because I find that a lot of people that are really into rhythm games tend to have like a pretty strong history or a tie to music in some way. But I think because we've had Minnie on the show as well, and he was a dancer and like into choreography and things like that. And I know a lot of the ranking team members and a lot of the higher tier players play instruments. And there's people that are very highly ranked that also don't, but it's like a pretty... Hopa. Yeah, like Hopa said.
He had zero experience.
Zero experience. So it's not completely necessary, but I do find that there's like definitely a theme of that with people that we've talked to regarding Beat Saber. So you must be like, it must be just such a joy to work with music, like, for a living, right?
No idea. I actually forgot to also, there was one more that's not really an instrument, but is rather important in my life. For 11 years now, I've also been a DJ. I've done everything from clubs to weddings to having to travel for it. So that's a big part of my life and how the electronic side of things comes into my music as well. Which is
so cool.
But I already forgot what you just asked me.
Well, I just said it must be just like, no, it's okay. I said it must be just like a joy to just be able to work with music all day.
You have literally no idea. Yeah, my 2 biggest things in life is music and games, and I literally work with a music game. So
right.
It's just, yeah, it is a dream.
Real lucky.
Yeah. Oh, you have no idea.
Do you ever get to like produce music for them, or do you just you're just mapping? They give you the tracks, and because you have quite a history of it.
Yaroslav really enjoys my taste and knowledge in music. So at least without, I guess, giving too much. I don't make music for or anything like that, but I do have heavy influences in what comes to the game.
Right, and I watched him stream the other day. He was producing some beats, some new tracks for OST 3, and he was doing it live, and I was watching, and I thought that's what made me think of it was, I wonder if you have any say, do you get to look at any of the songs, do you have any, like, because that must be awesome as well, because you have such an experience. Well, I guess, do you make your own music as well? Because I know you can play all of these instruments, but do you produce kind of in your free time
I
at
don't
all?
produce anything online. I do stream a lot where I'm just playing instruments and having a bit of fun, but I've never produced anything at like a listenable value.
Like, like a completed thing.
Yeah, well, and also in regards to like helping Yaroslav, well, because the only stuff he's got in the game so far is OST 1 and 2. 1 obviously was at release, 2 was just as I joined, like it was already established and created. But with OST 3, tomorrow, Sunday, I fly to Prague for 10 days. And I know that I'll be in the studio quite a bit with Yaroslav. So,
that's awesome. That's so cool. Are you excited? Have you ever been to Prague?
I've never been anywhere further than like 7 hours from where I am. So,
which, I mean, like he's in Australia, you guys. So, in Australia is huge. It's huge. So, you've never been out of Australia then? Or have you been to like, because Malaysia and Thailand are pretty close. Okay.
And Singapore.
Yeah, Singapore.
As far as I've been. Yeah.
Singapore is kind of like Australia's Hawaii. And it's way better, I feel.
That would be a place called Bali, but...
Oh, Bali as well, yeah.
Yeah. I've never been there. But
my friend always goes to Singapore and Thailand all the time, and I'm like, I'm so jealous. It's so wonderful there.
Never been, but I've heard good things, yes.
Are you, do you have any time to sightsee, or are you going to be working the whole 10 days?
I'm there for different reasons, but I do have time to sightsee. So
good.
I've had a lot of people recommend some things and go and try it. Some like absinthe ice cream or something like this that they have there.
Oh goodness!
There's a bunch of other things that would be interesting. I've heard there's like a bar that's made of ice, like all the walls and everything are just ice. So I got to go check out that, and yeah, there's a few things.
Nice. I'm excited. Are you gonna post? You should post pictures on Twitter.
I will.
So we can live vicariously through you. Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So you said that you are a day oneer, like you've been playing Beat Saber since day one, and you actually helped with the first kind of iteration of Map Maker. So what got you into Beat Saber? How did you find out about it? What made you buy it? I guess you already had VR when it came out. Tell us how it all started for you.
So I had VR for a couple years, already a Vive. Hadn't been used in a while, but the thing that actually got me into the game was all my friends, pretty much. So like once it got announced, people just, because of my history with Guitar Hero and a lot of IRL friends and family and that know about that, when the trailers for Beat Saber, I think it was January last year, started releasing, I just kept getting tagged in on different social medias, everything like that, going, you have to play this game. And by about like the 6th or 7th, I was like, okay, I should probably listen to them. And so I watched it and it looked pretty good. And yeah, I played it day one. Enjoyed it a lot. So like a lot of people may remember, but I found it definitely on the first day, was that the expert OST was a bit easy. So day one, I FC'd the entire game on live from start to finish. And I was like, I need something more. So I did that thing which now Rage Sack is famous for, where you tie 2 controllers together. And I did it with duct tape and a bit of cardboard, and did that on that first stream as well. But I was like, nah, I need something more difficult. So I think at this point the Discord was already made, and there's only like 20 people or something. And I joined in on that point, and yeah, I went from there.
So you're like the OG Darth Mauler, the very first one.
No. Rage Sack, I believe, was. But
did you get the idea from him by any chance? Like, was he doing it?
I think he had a video out, like, from a couple hours before, something like that. And I was like, yes, I'm going to try that. And we went and did that. Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. It's crazy to think, like, how far it's come, right?
Yeah. That was actually my first video on YouTube about Beat Saber. Was me playing Level Insane on Expert, Darth Maul, day one.
With your cardboard and duct tape.
With my cardboard and duct tape, yes.
My goodness.
Class.
It looked so bad. I felt bad for my controllers. Yeah.
And then what made you decide to like start mapping? Like, how did you hear about that? I guess since you were one of the first people in the BSMG, which is what I'm assuming that you when you say the Discord was already started, did you see people, like, were they talking about it then? Because I think it took about a week,
Yes,
right?
it did take a small while. So it was just YouTube and stuff at the beginning, but like just people sharing videos and talking. But I believe Megalon was creating a 2D editor, and while Ikawa was making Edit Saber. And as soon as Edit Saber came out, like as soon as it came out, I went straight into that. I had a song out day one.
And what was your first song that you mapped?
I mapped a song that where is he? If Sub Element is still here, he is not. Mapped a song called oh my god. Oh, you're bad enough for me. I can't remember what it's called. Oh my god. It's Batshit.
Oh, yeah.
Sophie Tucker. That's it. I was just listening to it at the time at work, and I wanted to choose. I've had this philosophy all the way through making, when I'm telling other people who want to start charting, but I chose a song that wasn't massively known because I knew that I'd be rough at the beginning, like everyone would be with anything new. So I didn't want to ruin a song that I really, really liked. So I just chose a song that I wouldn't care if I did really poorly.
That's actually really smart. That is actually, I've never thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense actually, because somebody mapped a song for me as a gift, and I didn't like the map, and it was like one of my favorite songs, and they were very worried. Yeah, they were very worried that they were gonna like ruin this song for me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't like this map. I couldn't beat it, and it was very frustrating, and so they felt so bad. So that's actually really good advice. If you're thinking about mapping, don't map a song that you don't want to ruin for yourself. It's
exactly that. Yeah, I did like 2 or 3 songs like that before I got onto it would have been TTFAF. Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna talk about that. Definitely just hummed Megalovania. Yeah, I wouldn't put that past it. It's been in my head for like 6 years or something.
Batshit's actually one of the options in the game that we're going to be playing, the Sophie Tucker song that you just brought up. So.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Very cool. So, have you mapped in any other games? But I guess probably not, because you've only played Guitar Hero, and I don't think you mapped. You mapped for that.
No, Beat Saber was the first game I mapped for, ever, in any form. Music games, yes.
Right. What other maps have you made? Like for like board game type things? D&D?
Nah, Halo, actually. I used to be very, very big in the Forge community of Halo 3. I even for a week got featured on the front of Bungie.net for creating a game mode called Spartan Kart, which was, if you ever played Halo, there's these little vehicles called mongooses where you essentially you can just drive them. But in Forge, we used to make like racetracks. And everyone would start on a mongoose and actually, go through the racetrack you'd build on the map, and it would actually be able to count laps and things like that. I popularized that back in the day.
Very cool. I played a lot of Halo, actually. My the friend that I have that lives in Adelaide, her boyfriend was on Final Boss, who they won the finals like a lot, and he actually moved to Australia from the States because of Halo. Like, he was one of the Final Boss guys, and he finished up his career and retired from gaming and immigrated to Australia to be with her. But I met her because of Halo, really, was how we met. We met at a tournament in the States. She was visiting him.
That's awesome.
I haven't played anything.
Yeah, I used to go to like tournaments and stuff and all sorts of stuff, but I never did any of the Forge. I mean, I played the Forge creations, but I never created anything in Forge myself.
Yeah.
Very cool. Did you play like Halo 2?
I played all the Halos.
Yeah.
Loved all the Halos. I can't wait for MCC. Shouldn't be too long until it comes to PC.
So how
Hopefully.
many maps have you released so far? Do you know?
You mean like
And this
in
this
Beat
counts,
Saber?
yeah, in Beat Saber total, and this counts like maps that you've released for OST as well,
Oh.
or not
Oh.
OST, but for the game itself, official maps.
Oh my god! I think unofficially 25 we were released, but I had about 60 unofficial. There's about another 30 or so that I just never released, but a lot of my internal testing team got to have some fun with. And then officially, I've definitely done far more than the others. Let's have a look. I actually have a spreadsheet, like a good person should.
Like a responsible adult.
Responsible.
Imagine being
Including
responsible.
Imagine Dragons, which would be 6. It's probably about 18 or so. Maybe over that.
Yeah, I was
Something like
wanting
that.
to ask you before we did this, but the time zones and like the kind of last minute didn't let me. But what have you done for official maps? Are you allowed to tell us? And anything that you can't tell us, just say that you can't. But what have you done
Yeah, that's fine,
officially
but I
for
can
Beat Games? Yeah.
You mean as in like which songs?
What are you responsible for? Because the Imagine what did you do in Imagine Dragons to start with? Because that pack was actually lit.
So the big things to start off before we go into every song, one of the big things that I do is do.
I was gonna say, I was like, he said do.
Yeah, is as the lead level creator, and we can go into how I got that role and stuff later as well. But one of my responsibilities is essentially to check off all the maps. So even if a map is made by, say, Yazer or Rustic or anything like that, it all comes through me, and I get them to change quite a bit. So ultimately, I've had my hands in everything since OST 2. But for the ones that I rawly make, in Imagine Dragons, I did 5. So I did Warriors, Radioactive, Digital, whatever it takes, and there was another one I can't remember. Oh well.
Did they let who did
Believer.
Believer? Oh, you did Believer.
I did.
So you did it.
Yeah, a lot of people thought Rustic did.
I was wondering if
obviously.
they would have let Rustic do. You know what I mean? If they,
Legend.
but no,
It's not a
Believer.
let. So I decide
yoink,
who does what.
my Believer now.
Nah. So there is a lot that, like, I consider myself very fair. So anytime we get new music, anything like that, I don't just take songs. I'll let the others choose first. Rustic did originally have Believer, but the final product wasn't what we wanted, so I ended up having to do it.
So yoink, my Believer now. Believer's actually so good. It's actually so good. And when I was playing it, I was like, thank God, because I stream Beat Saber, right? And I get asked like once a week still to play Believer. And it's just like, now I have a Believer that I can actually play that isn't, 400 years old and 3 in JS. Hi, buds. That's actually awesome. So yeah, tell us a little bit about how you got hired into Beat Games. Like, how did that all start? And you said you could talk a little bit about how you became the lead level designer. So kind of tell us about your journey within Beat Games and what it's been like working for them.
Yeah, wonderful. So I've actually been hired by them a lot longer than a lot of people think, because my hire for them was kept hidden for a few months. But I've been hired since July last year, so only a couple months after the game's release. But
It's almost your 1-year anniversary.
It is, yes. It's coming up so
Awesome.
close. But I wasn't announced until like late August or early September when Benny joined. It was the day Benny joined. They were like, "Oh, we forgot to actually tell people Freek's with us," so they threw us both in the same post on that day.
Nice,
But
nice.
I got hired, and I'm happy to go into this later as well, because I've always wanted to talk about it, but I've never had the opportunity to talk about
Now
it.
is the
In
time.
all of my original maps. One thing I always consider myself when charting is, or if I had to describe myself as one word in my type of chart style, it would be what I would call experimental. And I've never really talked about that with anyone, but a lot of my original charts were made specifically to piss some people off.
Oh my goodness.
In certain
My
ways,
favorite.
right? And yeah, we've never talked about it, but I may. But these
Like
experiments and
specific
stuff
people?
that I did.
Was there
Nah,
okay,
not
or just like
specific people,
like
no.
groups of
It
people?
was to be like, it'd be like, I'm not sure if which way this would go. Let me put it in. I know it's most likely bad, but I don't care. And we're gonna see what the public think about it. I was kind of like, what people seem to do. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this. So
yes, let's do it. Good.
I
Tell us
find
about
in
your
a lot
rage.
of mediums. I mean, this is again, it was my first game I've ever charted, so it's I don't know which way things go, but I like to. I think I can think differently to some people, and
Outside of the box.
the way. Yeah, outside of the box. And I feel like, and this definitely happened in the early days, is people start to map. And when they release it, someone will say it's good, right? And when it's said it's good, it just means that that person, when they're going to chart again, they're going to chart in a similar style. And the way to kind of, I guess, sum that up is people like to safe map, or they like to they find out what people like and then stick to that, right? And that's okay, that works, right? Like, but it also then means the players, not the charters, start to assume that that's like a norm. It's the meta, whatever you'd call it, and I despise that. So
I'm very excited to talk to you about ranking and stuff then as well. Just to get your opinion on that.
I go the other way with things. In rather than trying to find what people like, I like to try and find what people don't like. And so I'd put things in which I know are questionable on purpose. Things like some double hits. I have an experiment in just about every single custom map I have. I can remember them. We can talk about them.
All right, so let's talk about Through the Fire and Flames then. Let's just start with that. What was your experiment in this? Yes, you have angular mapper sickness. You might be patient 0. You might be the first one. So this is just something that I talk about when I'm playing a map that just has like really weird stuff in it. It's either like very overmapped, or it has the weird, they call them lop notes, where the notes are right next to each other. Just really awkward stuff. But that's more of like very like the challenging, crazy stuff that are just impossible to beat. At least you can beat Freek's maps. So what were you trying to do with Through the Fire and Flames? What was in your head? Tell us.
Through the Fire and Flames had quite a few experiments, but the biggest thing that I set out to achieve, which I feel like I massively succeeded at, was to give people a sense of achievement. I sound like EA at the moment. A sense of achievement by letting them get through a song that appears to be difficult, but there are a lot of things to help them get through it. And so what the biggest thing I did in Through the Fire and Flames, which I did talk about in the early days, was I had sections that were just dot notes, right? Now, a lot of people, when you're looking at
so those are just the HP builders,
maps,
is what that is.
Exactly. It was exactly that, right? A lot of people think it's just lazy mapping, blah, 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 whatever. And hey, you can call it that. But they were specifically even gapped at a specific distance so that if people were to miss a certain amount of notes in a difficult section, they would rise to full health. And so you would get this feeling that you're getting through it. Right at the very end, I then added... if everyone remembers that part where the blue and the red hand switches over after it repeats a pattern. So right at the end, there's a repeating pattern that happens like 6 or 7 times. Then for the final time, the 8th time, it's switched. And this is more like an attention check. So for those that have actually been paying attention at all to the map or thinking it's too easy, they get caught out. And there's many videos of people being caught out there. I love to watch them. But yeah, so
oh my goodness.
So yeah, it never had anything to do with the difficulty, although there is some difficulty in there. It was purely supposed to make people feel like that, fuck yeah, like I fucking did it. And that's what I wanted from that, and I feel like I got that quite a bit, yeah.
Do we have anybody in the chat that like beat Through the Fire and Flames back when it was like super relevant? Did you guys feel that way when you got to the end of it, when you beat it? Hammer, did you ever beat it? You beat it. Hammer had to have beaten it.
I feel like some did.
Did you feel?
I felt great.
I felt great. Smile. I didn't watch it for a long time because I hated it Well, we hate you. No, I'm kidding. We love you. But did you feel like a sense of accomplishment when you did it? Or were you just like, ugh?
You look at it these days, it's obviously just like an absolute wreck. Version 2 did get created and was finished, but all the timings and everything, it just...
Yeah. Oh, like you remapped it again?
I remapped almost every map I had with a
Nice.
team, but it just never came out.
Amazing.
Sad face.
Now, see, I could actually play through the Fire and Flames on Expert on Guitar Hero without taping down my green. And I could play it legitimately because I think I even had like an FC or close to an FC of that song that I had like a screenshot because I used to like screenshot my FCs in Guitar Hero and put them in my diary because I'm a nerd. And I think I actually had a screenshot.
What Puds is saying there, to thought the chart was too easy for a renowned challenger song. Exactly. God, I told so many people that, even in its creation, that it is easy. It realistically is easy. I had a lot of, not fights, but a lot of debates in the early days about what difficulties should translate to, right? And for me, expert, and this is probably the Guitar Hero coming out in me, but I always worked difficulties out as a percentage, right? So for me, expert should be that 100% of the notes that you expect to be there exist and is in there, right? What I mean by that is if you have a pattern that's like all of those would be charted on expert. On hard, it would reduce to a certain percentage, normal, and then easy. But expert plus, right, would go one of two ways. It'll either have the identical amount but be a more difficult pattern, or it could have what you all call overcharting these days, which I still laugh every time anyone complains about overcharting. There is so I'm asking you two, Ashley and Clouder, what do you think about overcharting? Do you usually have a negative point of view on it?
Well, so I think it's very difficult to overchart a lot of the songs that people complain. If there's just notes when there's absolutely no sound, that's very difficult for me. So if there's notes where there's just silence, that I consider overcharting, and I don't really like that because I don't play with hit sounds or anything like that. So I'm really dependent on the music. But if a song is like a Camellia song and it has a lot of sounds and every single sound is charted, I don't really consider that to be overcharting.
No, not at all. That isn't overcharting, no.
Yeah. I do have an issue if there's notes when there's really nothing there.
Yeah.
So
how do you feel?
This is the part where I always smile and laugh when people go, "Oh, your maps are overcharted," and then every time that happens, I somewhat like to blow people's minds by literally then linking to them to over half of Benny the Beast's maps, who everyone absolutely loves and adores, and that's absolutely perfectly fine. But if you realistically look at the maps, almost all of his maps are overcharted. He has so many notes where there's no notes, where there's no sounds and things like this. But it's because they come at a larger gaps and things like that. It can be hidden, right? And it acts on what you would call a 4 on the floor. When you're tapping your foot to a song, there may not necessarily be a note, but because it's in time, it feels like it's fake.
It's more mapped
right?
to BPM,
and
right?
It's there, exactly, right? Yeah. And it's there immensely. My type of overcharting, because I don't overchart, say, in easy, normal, hard, or even expert, but only at plus, it's when there's a lot of notes coming at you. And so it naturally gets the feeling that there's too many notes here, blah, 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 blah. And so it's just, the term overcharting, I've ignored any time anyone has ever had a complaint like that, because they're just not looking at it. Well, I mean, in some cases it can be fair, but
now see, I really started to notice it when I turned my hit sounds off, because that's when I was like, really struggling when I'm playing parts where there's like no noises at all, and you can really tell when you don't have your hit sounds on. When they're on, they can act as like a fake metronome, and they can make you believe that it's charted to things because of the BPM, like you're saying, because it's charted to the rhythm rather than the actual music.
Yep.
I don't know how many people here play with their hit sounds off. I think it's like 50-50. Well, that's not true. I think more people play with hit sounds on than they play with them off. But I enjoy the music so much more without them. So much more.
I'm really low.
Yeah.
I'm a natural drummer, so anytime I listen to any music, I'm banging on something, whether it's the side of my car or a table or anything. So I am always hearing additional sounds anyway.
Yeah, we have
So it
Puds in the
doesn't
chat
bother me.
he's a very good drummer. He's a mapper and a ranking team member as well. And his swings are ridiculous, I think, because of drumming. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about that for a little while, and then you were telling us how you got into working for Beat Games. So how did that start? And then how you got into the lead level.
Yeah. So all of the experimentation that I did in my maps is the thing that the developers noticed, right? So they like that I'd go against the grain, thinking outside the box, things like that. So Michaela, the social media manager, was the one who originally reached out to me about it.
Did you ever, sorry to interrupt you, but did you ever talk about that, like when you were streaming and while you were mapping on stream, that was kind of what you were doing? Yeah.
It's a little bit of experimentation and things like that, but also my philosophy with how to map and stuff like that. So I have a few videos on YouTube where I talk about the way and the reason I do some patterns and things like that. It's all just sounds like drunk bullshit, but I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I could swear on this.
Yes, you can. You can. We're 18 plus.
But I can only ask you to trust me in saying that, yeah, like what I was saying, I really was passionate about, and it still is to this day when I chart for them officially. Yeah. But yeah, so they picked me up.
And Benny was there. So were you the second that they pulled from
Perf was already there. Perf Forrest was there. He did Angel Voices up to expert, and then they hired me only a couple weeks after him. I was working in the background on some different things, and then early September they hired Benny. Benny was only there for a week and a half, 2 weeks. He then left because he got hired by a different company, and then later in the year they picked up Rustic and Great Yeazer. Now we've then had Rustic leave, so it's just me and Yeazer at this point, because Perf kind of disappeared a while ago, so there's just me and Yeazer and
just the two.
Oh,
just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
just
Benny's
the two of us.
We can make it if we try. Yeah, Rustic probably left because you yoinked Believer from him. That's what I'm gonna start telling people.
It actually happened afterwards, so interesting, eh?
I'm just kidding. And so yeah, you've been there. So your 1 year anniversary is actually next month. It's kind of sad that you won't be in Prague for that, because that'd be kind of cool. But at least you get to kind of meet everybody and celebrate it. Like you know,
the whole point I'm going over there is for celebrations. So
Freeek killed Rustic feels bad, man.
Absolutely not.
And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the 360 mapping. I know people have been really interested in that, and I was told that you are working on that and mapping for that. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. 360 mapping is, if you've seen Yaroslav's latest vlog on YouTube, I have a 3 or 4 minute section where I talk in between about 360 mapping. I'm not sure if you've seen that, Ashley or Clouder.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. But yeah, 360 mapping was it is a challenge, but it is a lot of fun. So I remember how it happened is like Split had it, and what he was doing is he was taking the maps that already existed and kind of just adding the 360 element to them.
Now, when you say that, is it done in like in? I'm going to keep interrupting you because I'm very interested in this because I have a quest. Is it done in the same kind of editor? Is it how are you doing it?
Yeah. The 2D editor definitely is where it's done, at least at this point in time.
And then how do you make it, like, how does it work? Is it just like, it's the same 2D editor then that you're using right now for the regular like lanes?
It is, yes. I mean, it's been edited a little bit to allow the 360 stuff, but it is the current editor, yeah. I explained this in the vlog. It's like, rather than having like 90 lines, like I don't have 90 lanes to just be able to put things in. I still have just the 4. But I then have kind of like, if you think in Mediocre Mapper, how you have the lighting event array, you can imagine there are 2 more channels, one for left and one for right. Think of like those blocks with the laser speeds from 1 to 8. And rather than putting 1 to 8, it would be angles. So it's like right here, turn left at 15 degrees. And you do that where you like. Does that make sense at all?
It does. It does, yeah. And I think that people were talking about, Beat Saber needing something to happen to kind of change things up and, add to it. And we talk about this a lot with people that we have on the show. Like, what can we do to kind of freshen things up? And I think that 360 mapping is one of the biggest things. And
it is amazing. It honestly is so much fun.
It's going to offer so much. It's going to be I think it's going to be so cool. It looks so cool, right? What have you guys mapped for 360 so far? Do you have like any completed levels at all?
I can't necessarily talk about that.
Okay, that's fine.
But,
that's fine.
For the ones that you've already seen, which is Believer and Thunder, they kind of, as I was saying, Split was originally having it so he could adapt the current charts just in a 360 manner, but I kept begging him, like, please let me try. I have so many ideas. And a single day before his due date of when it needed to get out to the E3 floor, everything like that, he was like, all right, I'll let you go. So he gave me all the tools, and I had like 5 hours, and I charted that Believer in the Thunder song, and he loved it so much that it was the thing to go to E3. So
nice.
I was very excited about that.
That's so cool.
But so it's definitely a big part. It's going to be incredibly exciting. It looks less exciting in video, but like a lot of people, I understand, may have fears that there may be, blocks appearing behind you. And I can imagine once it reaches the custom kind of things, people may do that.
It's absolutely going to happen.
Horrible.
It's always going to happen.
There's a lot. Like, the biggest challenge Split had for making 360, because 360 was on his radar from even before release of the game, right?
That's actually so interesting to know that.
The biggest challenges was to be able to never have it to be unfair for the players themselves, right? So, like, there's a lot of things that you don't even notice while you're playing it that actually help you always move to where you need to, whether it's the way that the lights are constructed or the environment in general. There's a lot of little details that it should honestly be okay. But the one thing that definitely does have to be taken into consideration is peripheral vision. And, another thing we got to take into consideration with peripheral vision is that different HMDs have different fields of view. And so there's a lot to it to make sure that it's available for as many platforms as
that's what somebody was just asking too. Soup was just asking, is it going to be able to come to PC? And I know that they had mentioned a reduced, like, instead of 360, maybe 120 for things that are not wireless. And can you tell us a little bit about that, like how it looks like it's going to happen for PC so far?
So the biggest thing I can really say for it is just that there's literally nothing set in stone. I know everyone, and this has been happening over Twitter for the last week or two, like, a lot of people are wanting answers, like a yes or a no, right? And it's just something that hasn't gotten there yet. It is still so early. It's but the goal is to bring it to everybody.
They definitely want everybody to have it
as possible to everywhere. Absolutely, man. Like, if I don't know how to say it. Like, if there's a HMD that has the hardware or some form and it's lacking something that it should have, then we haven't done our job, right? Like, we are absolutely wanting to do as best as we can. It's just the biggest thing, and for anyone who's worked in any type of company, especially even things like gaming companies, it is to never promise anything, right? So I don't want to say yes, all right? As much as I want to, I'm not going to say it because,
well, you never want to disappoint people, right?
Exactly, right?
People that's much worse when you disappoint them rather than...
And there are some people who are just, like, horrible on Twitter, man. Like, all the devs are wanting is just to be, like, just to celebrate and get people excited, but so many people are caught up in such, like, small stuff that it's
Well, and people get scared of change
demeanor on it all, hey?
as well. And people get so scared of change. People get scared when the metas change. People get scared, you know what I mean? Like
every time there's an update.
Oh God, the reviews on Steam. Every time there's an update, like you guys are responsible for the plugins. Yeah. So I mean, that's totally understandable. I'm really excited about it. I think even if we got like a 45 degree angle, if we got 90 degrees that we could move in, like on all of the HMDs, I would be excited, right? Because anything that gets added to the game that allows mappers to do anything more than they can currently do, and they always blow us away. You know what I mean? Like, they're so creative. Like, the community is so vast, and so I'm just excited to see, like, any sort of addition. Somebody was saying, why don't you just have blocks fall from the sky as well? Not a bad idea.
360 sphere.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Maps.
Just like rain blocks. Very cool.
Exactly, Fruit Ninja is what I was thinking about.
Yeah, Fruit Ninja style. I'm just thinking of all of the songs that mention rain and all of the maps that we would have as a result of the three. When will more content go to Quest? Quest has like I have a Quest. Beat Saber on the Quest.
Everything. That's right. You won the competition, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I won the Quest. It's sitting right next to me. I'm going to Vancouver this weekend. I'm taking it with me, so I have something to do on the plane and in my hotel. I'm so excited. It's such a great system. If you guys don't have, and I mean, obviously, I know it's expensive, but it's so much more. It's so much more in reach for people because you don't have to have a PC. You know what I mean? Like, it's a standalone VR system, and I think that is just the most incredible thing ever. Like, I think that's such a big step for VR.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not gonna play Beat Saber on the plane, but I'm gonna play my Quest on the plane.
Yes, I'm taking my Quest to overseas, so I'll be playing it on the plane to Qatar and then Prague.
And I know that like the PSVR the PSVR people get really up in arms as well because they have their own set of limitations that Beat Games has to deal with because their hardware is just not the same and they don't really understand kind of the way it works. So that can be really frustrating. Yeah, people can be really, really mean. Beatrice. Oh yeah, like Tetris. That'd be fun too.
Tetris,
like Tetris. There is that Tetris map where the blocks are like they come at you in Tetris shapes.
Yeah, that was an early one. I remember that. That was pretty clever. Yeah, I like that. I love that kind of thing. Little gimmicks and things like that. Oh,
yeah, it's so cool, right?
Adore it.
I was playing a map the other day and it was like a Super Mario. I think it might have been a Rinku map, and maybe it wasn't though actually. No, it was a Morik map, I remember. And it had like the mushroom sound, like when you get big. And it was like right after being under a wall. So like you stand up with the mushroom sound. So you feel like you're Mario, like getting a power. It was really cool. I was like, I love that so much. And like just those little things that people put in, right? Like the really inspired mapping, I think.
That kind of thing we put in, is something like not really experimentation, but something that has definitely been put in since day one I've been charting, as well as even in the official maps, there's quite a few little things like that.
And when you start mapping, does that like play a role in kind of how you map as well? Like, do you have like an idea for like a very specific? I'm thinking of one of your maps, but I don't want to give it away, and we're going to talk about it in a second because it's part of the game. But do you have like, I really want to do this thing? Overkill? Yeah. Oh god, yeah. And somebody wanted to talk about overkill. How?
Absolutely, man. Let's fucking go.
What is your experimentation in? But yeah, okay. So I have a lot of questions. I want to talk to you about so much, Freeek. I'm very sorry. So like, if you have an idea,
I've got 3 hours, so let's go.
Perfect. Are you like, I want to do this little thing, and then that's where you start with your map, or do you just start the map kind of from the beginning and move your way through?
So, official mapping. How I do it, at least originally, is once I get given the songs, maybe, I listen to them on repeat for like a week before ever going in the editor, right? I get to the point where I can sing them, I know every part of it, things like that. And then I start to work on, what are these little cool things that I can add into it. And now it's not really that I put them in and then build around them. It's more if they can still fit in a way that feels comfortable and to enhance the wow or experience of that song in that section, then it's something that definitely gets prioritized a bit to be able to put in, yeah. But if it impacts a player's experience in a negative way, then it's not put in, no.
So you can't make people mad anymore. Unless you're doing it like in your...
Oh, no. I definitely can, right? Like, and
So let's talk about overkill.
Yeah, overkill, man. That was a fun one. So Perfrus actually originally made that, and then similar to what happened with Believer, it was just like nah. And so it was handed on to me to do. And so at this point in time, because Overkill, right, the official Overkill was actually made ever before Cry and Nuke Times came out, right? And
that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, and so when those came out, I obviously played them. You have to have a look. If something's better in some form, it should be in the game, right? And so nothing is avoided on purpose or anything like that. But so there was a lot of parts of the official Overkill, certain parts that I wanted to feel certain ways, and going and looking at hi Falcon, going and looking at the two unofficial ones.
And I think that I want to just say really quick, if you're a mapper and listening in the chat, they play your songs and they see if there's anything in there that they can yoink or if they like. So I mean, I would think that was really cool if I was mapping. I would to know that you guys are like playing those maps and kind of seeing what people are doing. But yeah, keep going. So you played Cries and you played Nuke Times.
And they were both not lacking. They were both fun, right? But they had had certain sections that just did definitely not fit. I think Nuke Times was the build up to the first drop wasn't like with all the streams. I despised it. There was a lot that was lacking in it. There was no oomph. I felt like I wanted to be at a riot concert and fucking going just nuts. It's a metal song, man. Like, and streams just don't do that for me. And don't do it for a lot of people. And then Cries was beautifully made. But during the I think it was the drop itself. I'm trying to think back like last year at the moment. When I say the drop itself, I mean after it's done that wow, and then it has that like the actual drop. From memory, Cry had one hand going up and down, and then the other hand was hitting down and up on the snare. And felt
Cry
really,
does
really
a lot
good.
of the one hand, like where your hands are doing completely different things from one
Absolutely,
another.
like individual things are how it should be done, right? It feels way better than Nuke Times in that part, but. The problem was that entire pattern was clashed. His snare drum hits needed to be opposite, so where they were down they should be up, and where they were up they should be down, because he has a clash on every single snare hit. That was the only problem I had with Cries. Otherwise the rest of it was great. Both of them in the slower sections, about 3/4 through, needed a bit more, but anyway, the thing that Nuke Times had was obviously his big drop. When I say drop, I don't mean the build up. I mean once you're actually
the
in
actual
the chorus.
Drop, like the Thanos, the crossover
the sideways
stuff,
and then angle, sideways, angle. Like that feels amazing, and it's definitely the draw, right? It's one of those instances where a song is easy, but it makes you feel epic, right? Similar to what I was talking about with Through the Fire and Flames. It may be an easy pattern because it's easily repeatable. The problem was that type of pattern, like there are a lot of limitations, things like HMDs, thinking about latency and stuff like that for different platforms, and general clashes. And that pattern was something that just could not work. So we had to do some other things, including the double swap, which I know a lot of people dislike in Overkill, but it makes me laugh a bit there.
That's the parts. See, if you guys weren't here with us earlier, Freeek likes to experiment and upset people. That was how he described his mapping style. And so also, I feel like it's a little bit of that Through the Fire and Flames thing with Overkill as well, like where you feel like you've got it, and then right at the end is the really difficult part, and it gets you like that very last, like I think it's kind of a stream but not really, and that's usually where I fail. I actually fail your Overkill.
The official one, sorry?
Correct, the official Overkill,
where there's a stream near the end.
It's like I don't know if it's like right after the drop, but it's where everybody fails the hardest difficulty.
Is it when the walls are around? No,
it's the alternative hits.
Yeah, those.
The alternative hits.
Yeah,
I'm
the walls
trying
are
to-
there.
Yeah, right. I'm having a blank right now. I know exactly because there's a couple of parts with walls at the end there, but the thing I'm not. What are alternative hits? Go on. I'm out of the loop with all of your guys' terminology and stuff. I have my own. Hands
Where-
alternating up and down.
Yeah, it's exactly. They're a stream, but they're not really a
So-
stream because they're down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, but they're still like streamy.
But the thing I'm confused about is they're like in the wall sections of Overkill Official, they're all double notes. There's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
individual hand movements there, yeah.
Like down,
So
down.
that's where
Well,
I'm getting up.
down, down, up, up. But it feels. Maybe it's kind of a gallop, but not quite. It's like a little too quick. Are they? They're not.
There's only doubles during the walls there. So I'm confused. Like, it goes.
Wait, he's gonna do it again. Please make the sound effects. Yes.
BA start up, down, down. One color up, the other color down. So you're just talking about, but so an opposite double, but they're not like individual notes. You're
Right.
not going, down, then up, then up.
I
Nothing
guess
like that.
opposite double
They're
is a
double
good
notes
way to
going
put it.
through
Opposite double is a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a double note where one is up and one is down. And it just repeats. It's just the same 4 notes that repeat.
Mhm.
Right?
And I fail there every single
4
time.
double notes.
But yeah, it
Ones
throws
before
you
is
off
just all
because
of
like it's like you're doing fine, and then all of a sudden it changes, and it reminds me of kind of just like failing right at the end of TTAF or Through the Fire and Flames.
I think I know the part you're talking about. Is this the part where the blue hand has an upwards note? Actually, that's a bit higher than the rest.
Oh, I don't know. I
In
think
the second
so,
set of walls.
but
'Cause there
I'm really
are a
bad
lot
at
of
like
things
how
that I do to make sure like people's hands are in the correct positions in all forms. Like resets are something that are incredibly rare with me, even in my unofficial maps. If I've forced your hand to go up, there's a reason it should be up and stay there. But like I understand, like earlier in the Overkill official chart, just as after the drop, there's that. I think it's the second section of the chorus where there are doubles that are going up and down in the left lane. The left 2 lanes. And then the right hand starts to crawl to the right across the lanes, and then the left one follows, and then the right one jumps back to the left lane. So your hands across doing a double note. I know I get there's a lot of people who point that out. But like even if you go and have a look back at it, your right hand does have a blue upper, like a higher note, to allow a non-clash movement.
So you don't smash your hands.
Right hand, where your hand goes over. And it's funny, I remember when it came out, and that was a pit people were screenshotting and things like this. And it's, like if you remove all of the notes beforehand and all of the notes after, except for these 2 double notes. And if I'm not being clear here, please let me know. But essentially all it is a red down and a blue down, like a double. A red up and a blue up, right? Double note by itself. So your hands both come up. And then the blue and red in the same lane switch. So the blue is on the left and the red is on the right, and they're both downs. It's just a standard crossover. There are thousands of them, or hundreds of them in the OST, everything like this. But for some reason, because there are notes before, double notes of going up and down, and double notes going after, oh my god, it's like all of a sudden this really like shitty mapping thing. And it's just like, what the fuck? Go and remove everything before and after, and you're just doing one of the simplest things that even show up in hard difficulties of the game. But yeah, before and after, all of a sudden, no. I think I saw a streamer on that day, a fairly high up mixed reality streamer, play that section, and then all of a sudden just fall down on the ground for like 5 minutes laughing. And I just didn't get it. I was just like, this makes no sense. Like, you can't hit a crossover. Yeah, it's
well, it's funny because when it first came out too, like I think it was one of the most popular ones for PSVR players because it
absolutely is.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest songs that they had gotten to see. It was requested of me very frequently right after that pack came out. Everybody wanted to see other people like streamers play it because they felt so proud that they had done it. They wanted to see it, so it made them feel really good to see me fail it when I'm playing these really, really difficult songs. They're like, I want to see this, and then I would fail it. I mean, I got requested it all the time, and then they would talk about how they had beaten it. I think that's awesome though, right? When somebody's really proud that they've done something, and like, so that must be really cool for you as well.
And this is the concept we were talking about earlier when I was talking about how I experiment with a lot of, like things to not necessarily piss people off, but to, find out what people dislike. Experimentation like that is not necessarily something I can do much anymore, right? But I can put, a bit of a blend to it. But this is the thing I was talking about where people map safely, and what it ends up having an effect on is players themselves essentially determine that is the right thing to do. And anything that's out of that norm is all of a sudden, well, as they say about me, bad mapping practice.
And what Falcon's saying too, we talked about that as well, Falcon, a little bit earlier. He was saying, back in the beginning, because he's like an OG mapper. If something came out and it was good and everybody said it was good, then that really affected the way that people were mapping, because everybody wanted to map, good. And I think that some of that comes with the ranking system as well. We have a lot of people that just want to map for rank, and I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I think that definitely needs to happen. We need to have a ranking team. But most of the mappers that I've had on the show have said, when you start to map, don't map for ranking. Like, have a look at the guidelines, see what they're saying, because there is stuff about, make sure you don't clap your hands together. And I mean, there are some things that you should consider that are just safety issues. Those notes that go very fast and they literally meet in the middle are probably going to hurt some people. You probably want to avoid those. But for the most part, people are like, just ignore it. Like, do what you want to do, have fun, make what you think is fun. And Freeek was saying the same thing. It was like, he likes to experiment. How do you feel about... Go ahead.
There was a really not early, but many, many months ago, I put a post on Reddit that ended up being... hold on a sec. I'm going to be just 20 seconds or 30 seconds.
That's okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. Oh, yeah. So I didn't know there was a difference between, like, ranking guidelines and ranking criteria. I guess that makes sense. So what's in the guidelines? Do you know, Clouder?
Well, certain things like hand claps, which aren't entirely unrankable, like 99% of the time they are. But it's just the difference of stuff that is straight up unrankable and stuff that can be unrankable, and most of the time is, but can also be used right. Just usually guidelines. People are good with guidelines. And especially you can use the guidelines to map for yourself, even if it's not for ranking kind of thing.
Right. So, like, don't put bombs all over the place. I don't think...
Don't put a bomb into a note.
Right, exactly. Because
early hex maps.
Things like that.
I remember when I was first going through maps for Unrank and I looked at Trendsetter. 3 wide walls and bombs into notes.
Oh, that's another big one, is 3 wide walls. And even for me, like, which I have, like, mobility issues because I had spine surgery. Like, when I get a map that has 3 wide walls, or sometimes even just like really difficult 2 wide walls, I would just leave them when I first started playing.
I have a decent play space and I could move, but I'm scared to because I don't want to accidentally hit something.
Hurl myself. Like, I play right by my balcony window. Like,
oh god. I play right by my computer.
Yeah, and I know people who have busted like computer monitors and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like my desk is entirely glass.
Yeah, welcome back. So yeah, we were talking about like the guidelines as well. They just have, like no 3 wide walls, things like that, which I think are kind of important to try and avoid when you first start playing, just because you may not realize how it or when you first start mapping, you may not realize how it translates in. But you were saying back in the beginning when you first started.
Yeah, wasn't necessarily started mapping, but this was very early in after the ranking criteria came out, because I was not against the ranking criteria, but I had some massive debates with Umbranox himself for quite some time. They were all level-headed, like it was very all mature and stuff like this, but I was very against the idea that ranking criteria will change the way that maps are kind of set in stone. A lot of people want that ranking ability on them, kind of thing. But yeah, that's discussion for another time. But in the back right then, I put a big post on Reddit that got pretty high, which was along the lines of what you were just saying, how telling people who are originally starting to chart should be just making charts for themselves, right, and for the fun of it, and not to care about what others think. It was very, very long post, but I'm not sure if either of you ever saw it. But
I'm pretty sure I did, because I try and watch, or I read Reddit pretty frequently. But it was a while ago then, that post. It was, yeah.
Here it is. I found it. Can links actually go into the
You can send it to me,
Switch
and I can put it in there for you.
Bam. That one. Yeah, it was but no, so I agree, if the other mappers have been on BloqTalk have talked in a similar fashion, then I highly agree with them. Anyone who's aspiring to become a mapper in any form, you should not be doing it for other people at any point. Maybe eventually if it's your goal, but originally you should just be enjoying the game. Like the whole reason people make maps, well, it should be, is because you want to enjoy more of the game that you love. And well, at least that's why I did it. And like your enjoyment of the game and your charts shouldn't be caught up in what others think, right? If you find it to be fun, then that's all that matters, honestly.
Yeah, and I've had some pretty intense debates, but with a lot of the ranking team members, and before they introduced, because there's the newer rule now where songs to be considered, if they're less than 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and you submit like an expert plus, it also has to include the 2 difficulties below it, which I just think is so much more inclusive. And you know what I mean? Like, I think that's such a better idea than what was happening before. But I used to have like very, very intense conversations with ranking team members on my stream, and for me, like, I've never really been a PP farmer. I'm not against that if that's what, because everybody plays games for different reasons. And if you're really into playing ranking songs and playing the hardest songs and climbing those ladders, and that's what makes you really happy when you play, like, by all means do that. But when I play, exactly. I get on and I download, the newest list. I'm at the mercy of Twitch. I really only play on stream. I'm at the mercy of Twitch chat. What they're requesting of me, that's what I'm playing. And so I love when it's a bunch of new songs that are just interesting and different types of music, because my favorite genre of music is actually rap and like reggaeton. Yeah, like I listen to a lot of that, and so I get really
lover.
Yeah, I was actually one of the OG Jules fans. I used to play all of his maps. But yeah, like when there's those people that when you find all of the outside of the box stuff, we talked about that a little bit earlier. I really appreciate that, because I don't grind the same songs, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing at all, if that's how people enjoy it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, Falcon's saying I don't play off stream. We're at the mercy. I only play on stream. What people BSR me is what I play. I play a lot of Believer. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we talked a little bit about your mapping style. I think now's a really good time to play I Made This. It's a game that I created for BloqTalk. And basically what happens is I have gone into the game and I've picked a couple of your maps. I didn't do any of your OSTs. So these are gonna, some of these are oldies but goodies. And there's not gonna be any lights or any sound. It's just a GIF that's gonna show up on the screen. There will be 4. Hi, kitty. I'm talking.
Oh, and seeing if I can.
And you're going to see if you're going to see if you can figure out what map it is. It's called I Made This.
This is amazing. I like to think I'm very unique with all of my charts. So this is.
I want to let you know, fun. No pressure. But we've done this with every mapper I've brought on, and nobody has gotten one wrong. Yeah. Not a single.
Well, you'd be the first one to fall.
Not a single person has gotten it wrong. I've been so impressed. Okay, so let me pull up, I'll put up the first one on the screen, and then shortly thereafter, the options will show up. Now, chat can vote as well, so if you think that you know what the answer is, don't shout it out. We've had that happen.
Oh, there's options?
There's going to be 4.
Can we do it without options? Is that possible?
Yes, I can put it up, and if you think you know what it is, you can message me. And I'll still give them the options.
Yeah. Okay, I like this. So I'll message you. Once I've messaged you, you can then put out the options.
That will actually work perfectly, because it takes me a second to type them all out.
Oh, boy.
I'm very glad that you like this, because this is my brainchild.
Because this is literally like...
It's a very good idea.
How long are the GIFs?
They're very short. So the first one's going up now.
Okay, yep, that's blue. Eiffel 65.
Stop! You're not supposed to do that.
I'm not supposed to do that.
Do not shout it out. I literally just told you that.
I'm sorry. We literally just talked about
We just talked about this. You guys get. This is not the first time this has happened.
This is the second time now.
This is blue, by the way, in case you didn't hear that. This is blue. That is the option. That was the correct answer.
That is also the that was one of the experimental parts.
So I was gonna say, yeah, but one of the things I noticed about this was like during this part, it's all blue notes, and I thought that was I thought you must have done this on purpose. This is also one of the first like kind of spin circle things. Hex actually uses this a lot in some of his maps as well. This, not that he got it from you or anything. I always feel so like weird when I'm like comparing people. But did you do that on purpose? Are they blue on purpose?
So this came out in the first week of custom levels. This was straight up. This was the song I did for my tutorials, where I actually have the video. If you've ever watched my tutorials, I do this entire song. But yes, it absolutely is purposely on blue, even to the point that during the verses, like right at the beginning where he goes, blue is house and his blue little window and a blue Corvette. Every single time he uses the lyric blue, there is a blue note. And like, yeah, there's a lot of that into there. And then obviously I'm blue, double D, double die. Our entire blue sections with nothing but blue, what do you call it? Lighting as well. But yeah, this was other than Through the Fire and Flames, this was a song that definitely threw up my name quite a bit. It got featured on that channel Node. Do you know the Node guys who are like Freddie Wong and Brandon Lachach, who are the guy who's currently making Boneworks, the VR game coming out? They put a video of them playing. What's Boneworks?
No,
oh my god, Ashley, you gotta be your mind absolutely blown, man. Oh, you're gonna have to do it. It's like the top requested wishlisted VR game coming out. It's just you can't really talk about it. It's more something you have to go and watch the videos for. But it's just a first person game where you go around. It's just all of the physics and things in it are just very, very detailed with. But it's not only the most wishlisted VR game. I think it's like in the top 20 wishlisted games on all of Steam.
Wow.
But yeah, they uploaded a video of them playing this song. Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, this looks cool. I'm on my Steam store looking this up. I have seen it. Oh, I'm getting an index. I'm waiting on my index right now. Yeah, I see a lot of the finger movement happening.
Yeah.
Heck
yeah. He uses pressure controls. Oh, I have seen this. Yes. When he pushed over that wall, I realized that I had.
But yeah, that section was experimental for being able to just, consistently swing in one direction. I'm
going to put up the next one, and we're going to, I need you to practice. I need you to just, with me now.
I think I was excited in the fact of how quickly I got it, when I hadn't seen it in over a year.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Swear to God.
Okay, next one. Don't say anything.
Be quiet, please.
Okay.
Oh, everyone's favorite pattern, up and decide.
You might have got me on this one.
See, I feel like as soon as you see the options, you'll know what it is.
It's more. Don't.
I'm not going to put them up.
No. I think it's because. So, I'm curious. Is this something that was unique about this map? Because it seems kind of generic.
It is when. I think when you know what it is, because it fits quite well. It's one of my favorite songs, which is why I picked it. I picked them all for kind of different reasons. I picked Blue because of the blue and the spiral, and I wanted to talk to you about that and see it. And this one I chose because it's. Go ahead.
I'm gonna type. It's one of two. What's that song?
Don't sing it. I know you want to. I can feel it.
I think it's gonna be. No, it's not that one. It might be that. Okay, I'm gonna put this. It's probably wrong, but I think it might be the intro to that, but
So I'll put up the
probably wrong.
I'll put up the options and then see if it's in there. So it should show up now for you guys. You might have to refresh the stream.
Okay, yeah, I know which one it is now.
Yeah, and then as soon as it shows up, see, what I need to do is I need to start doing it where I don't show the options to you guys. So let them vote.
I'm still gonna type it there.
Yeah. And then you can vote once we get some votes in.
Yeah, right. God.
Here, look, Puds is doing it right now.
Experiments in all 4 of those songs as well.
Good, we can talk about what you, So see, yeah, as soon as it pops up, right, like, you know, because it fits this part quite well.
Yeah. It's not even the timing of it. I just remember in the GIF near the end where there's the red left back and forwards in the left lane, because most of that GIF is just absolutely generic, and so it's like, but yeah, it's that red left right there.
And chat can vote as well.
Yes, chat can vote. I totally forgot about this map, but I do remember the experiment.
We've got quite a few people
so much
for Pendulum. Nice, I'm glad. We've got a Priestess vote. We've got some Knights of Sidonia votes. We've got a lot for Clint Eastwood Gorillas. I'll close it and then I'll tell you guys. It was Clint Eastwood. He did get it correct. He did message me right away.
Indeed. Yeah.
So tell us, what was the experiment in this one?
So the experiment in this one was about halfway through. There were 2 experiments actually. 3 experiments. There was one where it would double notes, right? Where that would go in essentially double directions, right? So you would go like red and blue double note coming up, but then there was another up note in like much higher up, and it felt really good in the, like, it's something no one does these days. It's just considered bad, and I understand that. This was the test because I hadn't done anything like that. This is one of my very early maps, and so I wanted to see the reaction to it, and it absolutely was negative, so I never used it again. But yeah, it was just a double in the same direction, similar to, actually I have used it once before, but it wasn't really me. This was like, even though I took over Believer from Rustic, I still kept a lot of his charm, which was including at the drop where it has the 2 double ups like that, with the gap in between them, if you remember that part.
Oh, I do. I've played, wait, not his OST, his original Believer, because I never
I'm talking about the OST.
Well, would we have played his at all? Or are you talking about yours?
Yeah, I'm talking about mine. Like, I still kept
like you kept his in. Got it. Yes.
Yeah. So there's that double up there, which feels really nice, and there's a few of those in this chart, but there were just too many. The second one, it kind of makes you feel like you're. I want to say raising the roof, but I feel like, you know what I mean. But like that movement, that sounds very horrible when I say it. It sounds very cheesy, but that's what it feels like when you're doing it in a game. The hit up, and then essentially if you swing your sabers in a circle, like a big 360 to then do it again, feels amazing. Kind of like a tennis backhand. The second experiment was in the middle of this song. I played around with a vision note where there was a pattern that was repeated about 5 or 6 times. It was when, I think it was a red note that was single and then a double blue, and then a red note single, a double blue. And essentially it's the same pattern. It happens like 5 or 6 times, but on the very final one, I actually block the red note behind a double blue to see if the comfort of how people like the impression I wanted to experiment that if you ingrain a pattern into someone for a good 10, 15 seconds, that when you take away a visual of a single note, do people naturally still swing at that, or does it get immediately lost and therefore they miss? Does that make sense at all?
No, it does 100%. And I want to say, like, I feel like it does, because I feel like if somebody gives me a pattern and they do it over and over and then they change it slightly, then I fail when they change it. But at the same time, I also feel like it doesn't, because I have this bug sometimes where if I pause my game, some of my notes just disappear. And even on streams where I know that note is in that position, my hand just will not move to there if I do not see the note. So what did you find? Did you find people were still able to hit it?
So what I did is for this chart, had a lot of people record a video of their first play so I could see if they hit the note or not. And it works somewhat, but I fear it works a lot, not fear. I feel like it works a lot better with walls than it did with using other notes to block. So it was something that I did very rarely ever again. So yeah, it was conclusive that I just didn't use it. Yeah. Though I believe these days in the ranking criteria and stuff, a lot of the high PP maps these days now actually use it quite a bit from what I've seen and heard. So, things come full circle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
As time goes on. All right, here's another one. That's the same one. Sorry, I double clicked. My apologies. Okay.
I know this one. Oh, yeah.
I think it's so incredible that you guys can guess without, just from, it's literally 7 seconds.
I think it's this.
Let's see.
Probably incorrect, but we'll put that in. All
right. I'm going to put up the options.
Of course I'm wrong.
What's funny is it was almost that one. It was between that one and this one, which I ended up going with because they're very similar in.
Yeah, boo you. So you do choose similar section.
I do. Yes, I spend a lot of time on this. This is my brainchild.
And you remove the lights.
And I remove the lights, and I find things that are released at around the same time. So you're kind of doing...
Yeah, all 4 of these were my final 4 custom maps. Mm-hmm. They were when I started getting comfortable with my own kind of style.
Because as you release them right next to each other. I got that tip from Benny, actually, who was the first one.
Yeah. That's a good tip. That is a good tip. So I haven't even chosen yet. My God. I
believe in you.
Yeah, I think it's that one, but I think it's because it slows down. It's got to be that one. I'm probably wrong. Oh my God, am I going to have the first incorrect of all of them?
Are you gonna vote? Did you vote? Did
no
you
one's
send?
Ever got them wrong? I have voted. Yeah.
You voted?
God, I haven't played any of my maps since last year. Easy. So this is so fun.
It might be the first one to get it wrong. What do we have?
Oh my God.
This is a good map.
See, I remember that part of in Knights of Sidonia in the intro because I have a video on YouTube called My Charting Philosophy While a Bit Drunk. And there is that exact pattern of the red and blue Ys, if that makes any sense. Like those single pattern right there, and then the blue on the right. That exact part I talk about for half an hour in that video. So that's what's thrown me off, and now I don't know where else I've used.
They were all released very close together. The song does slow down, but do you want me to close voting and do you want to tell us which one you picked?
It does slow down. You mean BPM wise? Because there's only one song in that list that does that. So that means I have got it wrong then, because I haven't actually clicked that one.
Yeah, I can tell. I can see, and nobody's clicked that one. I'll close it and I'll show results.
Wow, it literally was. Oh wait, what?
Yeah, it was Take Me Out. Nobody voted for it. Everybody voted incorrectly.
How come Lagrange is the thing that's
because so everybody, that's the one that won the poll because that's what got the most votes because Chad is voting for it. But it was Take Me Out, and it does slow down.
Intro to it then, right?
Yeah, it's right at the beginning of the song.
Yeah, that was a fun one to chart. It's the first So when I make or chose songs to build customly, I always checked with the YouTube music policies to make sure that it was something that I could upload. This was the first song I didn't do that check for, and it's the first one that isn't allowed on YouTube. So my actual video of this doesn't exist. It does on streamables, but not on YouTube. But yeah, I remember the fun with this one because it was a heavily BPM changing one, and this was the one and only song I ever did with the inbuilt mediocre mapper BPM changes. Um, so I think it changes like 16 or 17 times in that like 10-second period, and that was fun to work out.
And I love this song as well because, again, Guitar Hero song.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Such a good song.
All of these older songs took so much work to put in because, I mean, other than Take Me Out, because the BPM thing existed there, but like so many of my old songs, like Back in Black, Weapon of Choice, anything that was kind of like, before the digital age ish, I had to quantize using Ableton, and I'd spend like 2 hours per song, like getting it exactly right. I had to do it for Are You Gonna Be My Girl as well, just so that it could be charted. And for those that are curious why there's not a lot of old rock songs, Metallica and all that, in the game, it's because of minute variable BPM. And it's very hard to overcome, but it was something that I did because I really wanted some old maps. Yeah,
mappers complain about that a lot, that they wish that they could change NJS in the game and to help deal with variable BPM and songs and stuff like that as well. That's something that they ask for all the time, but I guess you probably want it pretty badly as well, like being able to change your NJS. Yeah, very cool. So we have 2 more.
Oh, there's more. Yes,
but wait, there's more.
But wait.
So I tried really hard.
I know this one. I know this one.
See, they're all very similar, the sections I picked, because, like, apparently you guys are just so good at this.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know.
Don't say it. Okay.
There you go. That one. This was probably... Oh, wait. No, it's not that. It's not that, because you chose familiar sections. There you go. I think that's it then.
That's it. Don't say anything though. Yeah. I'm gonna put up the options.
Oh my god! I almost got it wrong.
Yeah, I was like,
man, I wonder how many people actually knew that I did the GOMD song. Sickie. I don't think that was played like ever.
I do a lot of research.
I'll be disappointed. Oh, no, I wouldn't be disappointed. But I was like, this should be high percentage. Though you did choose an incredibly generic part. It is very, very close to the other song that I guessed just beforehand. But the only thing that made me remember it is because all of the snare hits go on the left of that other song that I put, not the right. So
is that what made you go
the
like,
only difference is a blue right arrow, and that's what made me change my vote.
And so what I do is I download, before I make these, I download every single song that you guys have, and then I go into practice mode so that you can't see my recently played on Beat Saber. So I put on my hat, like that's what I call it when I go into practice mode. And I play everything through on practice mode. And I try and do them in chronological order so that, you know what I mean? Like I can kind of see the evolution. And then I pick based on that. And a lot of times it's the intros or the drops that are very similar in like phases of mapping.
Yeah.
Hi, Atomic.
One thing that was very rare in my custom maps, because I had just a grudge against them, was the streams themselves. They're almost non-existent in my original maps.
Yeah, I love streams. You're gonna hate me for that, but like that's the one thing I can do very well in the game is streams and like complex streams and sight reading streams. So I was very sad as I played through. But
the first time I did a stream in my own style would have been Swamp Thing, actually. on Expert Plus. I put a lot of effort in making sure it wasn't just a normal stream because I hate.
I almost picked Swamp Thing. I almost picked. Oh hey, Williams is here with his friends. We're talking to Freeek about mapping. We're playing.
Williams.
I made this, so if you guys want to vote on this, you can. This is a 7-second clip of me playing one of Freek's songs. The options are there on the screen for you to vote for. See if you can guess what map this is without hearing it, without seeing any lights.
Williams, the cutie himself.
The absolute cutie. Thank you for the host, Falcon. The Falcon just hosted me. Pog you.
Falcon! I watched you play the Imagine Dragon stuff the other day, Falcon, actually. I saw you weren't. I love it when you can pick my style up. I think you were playing digital and you was like, I just can't do it. The Freeek flow is just not something I like. I was like, fair enough, mate.
I actually really liked a lot of the songs that you mapped in the Imagine Dragons pack. We were talking about that a little earlier. Freeek is an official mapper for Beat Games. He was responsible for Believer in the Imagine Dragons pack that just got released. He yoinked that right from Rustic. Mapped it himself.
Yoinked it? Oh, no,
Yoink
mate.
my Believer now.
Poor Believer.
No.
That's to the devs. The devs don't like it. They give it to me.
And he's the lead. He's the lead mapper, or the lead level designer, is the official word. So people, we have a lot of votes in. A lot of people. I'll close it so you guys can see. A lot of people got this one right. It was Beat It, Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Which is actually, it's also one of your much older songs, and still feels really good.
This was the very first chart that I would consider a safe chart, as well as there was a tiny bit of experimentation, and that was just simply in the bombs, in the part where you go hee and all that. But yeah, so safe mapping, this was, so after I'd done a lot of other experimental maps, I then release a periodical one with what I've learned and see how it went. And Beat It is, I think, my most downloaded or played map or something, and is still like right at the top of at least one of those, I think. Something like that.
Mm-hmm. It still plays quite well, I felt, for how old it is, because I think your most recent maps were still pretty old. Like you haven't released a custom map in quite some time.
It's the top played song still, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there were a few maps that I had like that. The first one being Beat It. There was another one which was Back in Black by AC/DC, and Arctic Monkeys, Do You Want to Know? Those three were like the safe maps where I knew I was just doing it for the sake of, well, people, and to enjoy it and not to piss anyone off. Yeah.
Now, why were you going through that phase? Were you just, did you need people to say this is good? Were you having like a time where you just, or did you just?
What I'm saying is, like, I'd experiment a heap of maps and then release a safe one using the things I had learned from those maps.
Gotcha.
Right? And then I did another batch and then did Back in Black, then did another batch, and then Do You Want to Know? Yeah.
Back in Black is one of the few that I didn't get a chance to play when I was kind of going through all of the maps. I need to check it out then and see what it's like. No hard feelings, right, Freeek?
Absolutely not. You know, I've met Falcon. He's a lad. Got a couple big hugs, everything. He's a good guy.
Aww.
Now you have to hug a bit harder next time, Falcon. We'll all be good.
Lads. All right, so I've got one more. Just one more. This is the last one. I made this.
No, I made this. Where is Willems? He hosted. Really? How original.
I had to do it.
Oh, the memory.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put it up. I'll put the options up for chat now. There you go. I usually only do 4 of these.
Oh, you know what would have been amazing? If you put Through the Fire and Flames, but in 4 different ways.
I actually was going to do that. I did Through the Fire and Flames and TTAF, and then I couldn't think of anything else, and so I just kept it all the same.
The other two would be TTATF and Through the Fire and the Flames.
That would have been,
because a lot of
genius.
people get that wrong. Yeah.
I should have done that. Yeah, all I could get was 2. I was I really want to look at the votes. They're very split.
Fire and Flames variations. To the Fire and the Snow.
I had to put it up because I feel like this is what you are most
the iconic
known
map.
for. Man, I don't know.
The one pattern, you should have had the one pattern.
Okay, except I didn't want to look horrible. I am the one playing this, and I just wanted to just be 1,000. I didn't want it to be 1,000 misses on the screen. I missed right at the end there. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, when I do the switch there.
Yeah, you see me miss?
So good.
And this took about 48 takes before I could find a spot that I felt comfortable with. My goodness.
That's beautiful.
We talked about Through the Fire and Flames a little while ago. No, Freeek was not responsible for the reality check. Oh, you're saying is this reality check?
I remember talking to, was it Rick Put? That's it. Really, really early, we talked quite a bit because they were the two kind of, I wouldn't call them challenge maps, but you know,
I think they were at the
ones
time.
that everyone,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always wonder too if Dragon Force, like, if they're happy that they are just, you know, the rhythm game guys now. Like they're just like, do you know what I mean? Like,
they did see the video. Yeah, they did. They do know it exists.
Yeah,
it was posted to them many times on Twitter.
I wonder how they feel about that. So
not too soon.
We've been talking for almost 2 hours. I told you it just kind of flies by. Let's
Wait, really?
Yeah, we've been live for 151, but about 10 minutes of that was set up. But 151 so far.
Yeah, right. Damn.
I told you,
it's so much fun.
It just flies, but we're not done. We're not done. We still have a little bit to go. So now's kind of the time I like to see if chat has any questions for Freeek. I think Mod's got a little bit of a list earlier. Let me close this poll really quick.
You ask me anything you want. I may not answer any of them, but you can ask me whatever you want. Yes, we voted for the correct one. Well done, everyone.
We got it. Good job, guys. Yeah, Xander, if you want to send some questions, and if this gentleman had quite a few. How many did he have? Well, we'll start with that. Well, I'll try and alternate. If you want to just send me those questions in a DM, Xander, I'll alternate between those and chat. Chat, do you have any questions? What is your opinion on wideness?
VR, the famous pattern. Yes. There is actually a little bit of a story behind that. That was an experimental thing that I added into it, obviously, allowing bombs to be after a hit to see if it was enjoyable to only slice halfway or whatever. Because one thing when I made TTFAF was, and this is true for all my maps, even OSTs, is make sure they're all absolutely like can be completed with no fail off. Because really in the early days, you know, anything that was even remotely difficult was difficult for a lot of people. So TTFAF, even for some of the top players these days, back in the day, I know some of them struggled somewhat. And so I wanted to try a few things. So when I made it on stream, I then played it on stream. I had a dedicated stream saying I'm playing TTFAF until I pass it, and it'll release exactly at the end. So I played it, and I think I got it on my third go. And that was from the first time I'd ever even touched it. I played it on my third go, but when I got to that bit with the bombs and hit the side, I immediately said, I've got to remove these. Someone remind me to remove these. I think the VOD is still on my Twitch. And then at the end, I was just too excited with, you know, chat going nuts and me getting to release it, that I released it, and I totally forgot to remove the mines in that pattern, and then it just became a staple.
And now that is how they...
Now everyone's there.
Oh my goodness. So only 3 times. By the way, I've never beaten Through the Fire and Flames. Just want to throw that out there. I've never beaten it. Oh my goodness.
The last time I tried it was when I had Windows Mixed Reality.
Did you? Oh, before then? Yeah.
Yeah.
I played through it today, but it was on practice mode.
I probably still can't beat it.
So one question.
Yeah.
Do you use any special tools?
To do what?
I'm assuming to map games, but I think you just use... Do you use the official editor?
I use a lot of things. I use a lot of pen and paper as well. But I did that even when I did custom stuff to write down ideas. I also write a lot when I'm out and about. Like, as I said, for that first week, I listened to the songs a ton. And during that, I'll just write a lot down, like in a book and stuff like that, about ideas of what I want to have people feel like in certain parts, things like that. Yeah.
Very cool.
So yes, I use some tools I can't talk about, but yeah.
I don't think we've had a mapper say that they use pen and paper. I think that's the first time I've heard that. That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, and finger sabers. Finger sabers is a big thing, right? Like when I'm mapping,
finger sabers.
Yeah, like when you're mapping and you're sitting there and you're playing what you're mapping with your hands.
Yep. I do that immensely to the point where it would hurt my fingers. So I used to have to use 2 fingers, so index and the middle finger together while holding them together, and it would reduce the pain.
That's
the index finger because I did
tips.
it so much.
Tips McGee over here, you guys. Use 2 fingers instead of just wiggling. Some tools you can't talk about. Yeah, tricks of the trade, tools of the trade. Was tracking? Do you take tracking into consideration when you map?
What do you mean by that, Falcon?
We need explanation. Hey,
yeah, we'll get back to that then. What would you consider your best map in OST and best non-OST? I'm proud of a lot of them. My favorite non-OST... I have a soft spot for Lay Down by Priestess. I like how it makes me feel. It's really, really, oh my god, there's so much though. I can't answer that.
Give us like your top 5. Just tell us all the ones that you love. Because I mean, you have a lot of maps. So if you give us like the ones that really stand out.
The Priestess I love. Weapon of Choice I love, though the wall section in the middle I'm not too happy. Okay. If I have to put one, it'd actually be my final unofficial map, which would be Are You Gonna Be My Girl? I love that. Yeah. I got a captured exactly how I wanted to make players feel, including myself. And even though I haven't played any of them since last year, like I'm very, very happy about how that ended up working out. Yeah.
What about your favorite OST map?
Favorite OST maps?
Crab Rave.
Probably Rum and Bass is probably pretty good. Simply because when I very first got hired back in July last year, that was the first thing I did. Like, and not just the first song, but the first chart was the Expert Plus of Rum and Bass. So only a month and a half after the game's release, I made that Expert Plus, and it just sat there until Expert Plus OST 2 came out, which was early this year on PSVR, like January. So it had 7 months to sit there with no editing, and I'm happy with how it turned out. It doesn't have any of my early problems or anything like that. Yeah, I was really, really happy with Rum and Bass. Crab Rave was a bit funny actually. I was on holiday when I made that. I had a laptop with me, and I'd wake up each morning while in New Zealand and spend like 20 minutes on it. But I also collabed that with Yeazer. So he did the second half of each chorus as well as the second verse. But I did the intro and the main parts of the chorus and the outro. But yeah, Crab Rave was pretty cool. Yeah, I was also the reason behind why it was green, blue, and orange, all the different colors. I convinced them to put that in. Yeah, I was like, we got to do something, and then I was like, make the Monster Cat logo orange, because we actually wanted to have a dancing crabs, but it was just too late with the time that we had. So I was like, turn the logos orange, and that's what we got.
They kind of look like crabs a little bit. Do you play it? Because I have a list of questions as well that are behind. I'll get that one too. Falcon said in Expert Plus, there's not really like the same kind of fast movements as in other custom songs. And I'm wondering if that's because of like PSVR or, those considerations.
I think probably the thing you're comparing accidentally, Falcon, is the speed of the songs themselves. So there's no real songs currently existing in the game that can warrant anything as quick as that, other than say maybe Overkill. And that has its moments, but there's still nothing like down to the stream level speed of the Expert Plus. But stay tuned.
Oh, exciting. That makes me excited.
But there is a lot of stuff that is taken into account with things. So something that didn't exist when OST 1 Expert Plus was made was fast speed, right? So when I do testing for all of the maps these days on all difficulties, God, that's like most of my job is just testing, hey. But
It's just playing Beat Saber.
one thing is I have to make sure everything is completable and feels good on even faster speed, so nothing is like next to impossible or things like that. And OST 1 didn't have that, so if you actually play OST 1 Expert Plus, especially on faster speed, a lot of the pattern, not a lot, but there are quite a few patterns that don't actually work and feel really, really uncomfortable. So maybe we'll revisit OST 1 Expert Plus, but I don't know. We had a lot of positive on the different platforms about it, so
That's interesting that
we
you
will
guys actually
see.
map with all of the modifiers in consideration and test them with all of them.
There is more than you think. I even have to do lighting with the in minds that different HMDs like the PSVR and stuff have different frequencies of their displays. So we got to make sure that all the lights that we put in are divisible by all of the different HMD numbers, so that it's visible on everything. There's a lot more than people think that goes into charting.
It's crazy.
Officially.
Mm-hmm. Do you play with sound effects on or off? I know you said you like
absolutely.
on.
Yeah, on, mate. Yeah. Absolutely on. A lot of the times things are charted on, like with the slash sound in mind as well, so that they can accompany as opposed to replacing it. How long does it take a minute? Oh, map a general.
Well, so there's that one, but then I also have how long does it take to map a 360 map? So tell us both. Give us the per minute, and does the 360 map increase your time? I imagine it would, because you do have to take the angles into consideration as well.
Yeah. So I'm getting a lot quicker at 360, but I couldn't really give you a number. As for like standardly, like when I was non-official, I usually did easy, normal, hard, expert, expert plus, and lighting in about 5 hours. They were released my final songs that I released. It was about that. I used to do them in a single stream and then release at the end, so they were good fun. As for officially, Pop Stars took me almost 50 hours to make. There was a lot of working a lot of video calls as well as charting to behind the scenes choreography to the dancing of that song. And a lot of it is in testing as well. So things like easy difficulties, I test while playing on my knees. And my arms, I hold my elbows in. So to reenact, like if children are going to play the game, as well as taking into consideration, like if, say, the elderly who maybe a bit more difficult to go from left to right, I will make sure that there is a couple of seconds between anything in the left and the right outer lanes, things like that. So it all comes down to a lot of things, but I couldn't really ever give you a straight number. There's just
so it definitely increased a lot when you started doing it officially, just because there's so many more considerations that you had to.
Absolutely. Like, I take absolute pride and joy in the role itself, and like I'm a gamer. Oh, I enjoy the game as well. Absolutely, like it's the best. So I'm obviously going to make it with trying to make each song feel not just unique but enjoyable as they can.
And she's had a question. Do you ever consider maybe letting artists make music specifically for Beat Saber? Which they're pointing out that he does. He was He makes the music for Beat Saber. He was actually streaming himself producing a song the other day. I think it was yesterday. Actually on YouTube, and you could watch for a little bit. He didn't have his screen up, but you could hear the music, and he was like talking while he did it. But maybe like contacting, like, let's say the next one, if it was Imagine Dragons again, and having them make music specifically for Beat Saber. Is that something you guys want to do?
So things like that have already existed in OST2. The 4 additional artists, Boom Kitty, Megaphonics, all of that. Those songs premiered in Beat Saber, so
very cool. I didn't know that.
Made for the game, right? And like, it's definitely a thing. Like if you ever think you have a song decent for the game, you can definitely give it to Yaroslav. Like just email him, because he does listen to a lot of stuff, but his standards are quite high. So don't feel too down if you find that it may be rejected or anything like that.
That's still a really good
But
idea if people hadn't thought
you're
about
more
that.
than
Like,
welcome to do that.
yeah, submit your music. I
But
think all of the
music
music.
made.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry.
You first. Music
Uh,
made.
Music made for Beat Saber itself. Like, if any of you have played custom songs, you will see that, or you should see that there is a song that's included by now a really good friend of mine, Berlin Child, who did the song One More Time, which comes with the custom song installer. I think it's still there. But if any
It
of
is
you
for
have
sure.
played that, like, yeah, that song was made for Beat Saber. And if you've ever listened to the lyrics, it's what it's all about. You can actually get that song on like iTunes and Spotify and stuff now, because it is pretty funky. It's like the blues thing. It's good. It's good. I like it. But yeah, songs are definitely made. There's, I think, 4 or 5 of my releases, custom ones, I mean, were all songs that people made that they wanted in. So the famous non-for-profit, copyright-free music artist Kevin MacLeod reached out to me. He's made a lot of free music for the movie industry, and he reached out to me and made a song for me to chart. I think it was called You've played my songs recently, Ashley. Do you remember it at all?
If you say his name again, because I have
Kevin
a list
MacLeod.
up.
Death by Disco. That's it. He made that song for the game. Yeah. So it does happen.
So there's several. There's actually several. And if you make music, forward it to them. Send it out. See what they say. And somebody asked if there's ever going to be non-copyrighted music in Beat Saber. So all the music that's in Beat Saber shouldn't have copyright claims. And if it does, if you record it, I mean, obviously the stuff that they release, it's official. The custom songs, B Games has no say over that whatsoever. That's all community. But if you record something from the game and you put it on your YouTube, it should be free from copyright claims. And if for some reason you do get a strike or a claim, they've actually been really good about reaching out, and some stuff was getting claimed because it had been played on Jimmy Fallon, for example, and they reached out to...
Literally today, also Beat Games
with Imagine Dragons, they sent them
Dragons, yeah.
They sent them a message because people were getting some claims on their stuff for the Imagine Dragons pack, and so they have a special link that if you get a claim, you can send it straight to Universal. And so yeah, anything that's in the game in the OST should be copyright free. You can use it, all of it. Hey boss, how are you?
Hey boss.
Yeah, it's actually literally on the Universal Music website. There is a actual picture. An actual Beat Saber part of the Universal website where you can put in
it's really
your
cool.
videos with Imagine Dragons, and they'll remove it.
They'll work on removing the claims, yeah, because a lot of it's done automatically by bots, right? But yeah, Beat Saber, their devs are really good about. I mean, they listen. They're on Twitter. They're paying attention. So don't be mean to them. Like if you have if you have constructive criticism, they're there. But yeah, if you have issues like that, they've been very, very communicative in dealing with all the copyright claims that happen, because a lot of it's done by robots, right? And it's just automatic, and they'll help fix it. I had a couple more questions. We're doing questions now from chat. Hey BC, we're talking to Freeek about mapping and gaming and life. Did you guys know that Freeek plays like every instrument in existence?
Music prodigy.
He's literally like a music prodigy. It's disgusting. He was going over that earlier when we first started. Why is the team still so small after 1 million copies? Now, I think that that's kind of a relative question. I think it's actually a pretty... I mean, for what you guys are doing, it's one title. It is... Well, I'll let you answer. Go ahead. I don't think it's small, though.
I mean, obviously, I don't have... like, there are only certain limitations I can talk about this kind of thing. But ultimately, it's more about quality over quantity. I mean, it's easy to be able to say, hey, let's hire, 20 people and just, like, push stuff out as quick as it can. But, like, split, like, the whole reason that Beat Saber literally went, no, I wouldn't say viral, but, is so well beloved is because of the amount of work and effort that went into perfecting so much that you don't even think about, like, there's a lot of attention to detail. Like you could have Split talk for hours about the amount of effort he puts in just to make the performance run so exceptionally well, right? And his spirit about this still stays true. So, like, it may be good and well to say, hey, let's get 20 mappers, right? And we could have have a ton of songs, things like this. But then ultimately, it still goes down to Split, right? He's the one who checks everything off.
Yeah, and I feel like it would also
the
just
absolute
increase
head,
time
right?
too, right? Like there'd be
Everything.
so much more that would need. I don't know. It would not save time necessarily by adding that many mappers.
Exactly. The quality and stuff of that the game does have is a standard that Split and the whole team are incredibly proud of and want to maintain. And for anyone who's worked on any project just anywhere, right, to get that kind of level, a smaller team may mean, hey, it may take a bit longer for things to happen, but the quality of them are kept at a high level. Have you ever worked on a school project with either with one other person or with 5 other people? There's always a difference in how it ends up
Oh
coming
yeah,
out.
big difference.
And as somebody that does like a lot of project management with like lots of moving people, it's so much better just to have a small team that you can 100% depend on, that you 100% trust. Do you know what I mean? Like, than 10 people that you think you can give them less tasks, but those tasks are not going to get done as well, or you're going to have to redo them a lot. Like I much prefer, I'm actually I have a very small modding team. I just, I have my 2 co-hosts for like I like a very small group of people that I trust explicitly with everything, because I know I can depend on them. And it saves me a lot of time in the end, rather than just having a bunch of extemporaneous people kind of around. So I dig it. Another question. Does Beat Games ever consider adding extra stuff like mapping extensions natively? And I think that ghost notes and those types of things are kind of proof that they do look at that stuff, that they look at. And even Freeek said that he plays a lot of the community made songs, to see if they're doing anything better and to take those things into consideration. I feel like they do look at stuff, right?
We do, absolutely. Like, there are certain priorities and things like that. And I know a lot of people must think that we just sit around and do nothing with how long it can take between things, but the team is incredibly busy, always doing things. And it is similar to, I guess, other companies and games. Where I was talking about attention to detail, there was all of that type of thing is taken into account with everything, right? So like new modifiers like ghost notes and things like that may have taken like 4 or 5 months to implement, not from the coding side of things, but making sure it felt right and was a part that needed to be in the game. It's all good and well to say, hey, let's put it in, but there's always a sense of too much doesn't mean, or more doesn't always necessarily mean better. So if something is a legitimately good idea, like I always talk about it with Loki Man and Split, and like even things like the advanced HUD, which has been around for a while now, but came to PSVR only recently. Like that was something only a month after being hired by them that I was like, we need this. We need to show, percentage. We need to see what current rank they're at, how far they are through the song. We need a practice mode with the ability to start at any point we want and any speed we
Practice mode.
want.
That's another good
Right?
example.
This came from, literally from things that are done in the community, and it's things that Split and Loki and all that like don't necessarily have the biggest, I wouldn't say influence, it's the biggest connection with the community itself because they're just always busy, but a lot of these little like additions and things like that, I feel like I'm happy enough to be showing them. I feel like a bit of with Yazer as well, a bit of a link between the community, as well as with Michaela, who looks after the social media. But we've definitely heard you. We absolutely know you want things like additional sabers and custom campaigns with rewards and things like that. But it has to be done right, and there's a lot of other things that still need to be done. Quest production took far more than you'd ever think.
Plus, I mean, people want songs, right? They want songs, and that's, I feel like, almost always going to come first before the other stuff. And you have to take care of that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
BC had a really interesting question. BC, have you ever thought about having guest mappers? And I know you're saying that that's how Freeek got started, was he made custom maps. But I'm going to talk about Audica a little bit, which I know is a little blasphemous. But for example, Audica, blasphemy, that's what I was about to say. Audica just started a custom mapping competition, a community custom map competition, where they gave out an OST song that's going to be featured in the next music pack, and they're doing like a competition and letting people map for it, and then the best map gets chosen to be the official OST map. I think that's what BC is kind of talking about. Have you thought about having kind of guest mappers come in and map a song for Beat Saber? Because I think that would be something that people would really love. Now they have to use the 2D mapper. They have to use Audica's mapper to map and submit the songs.
As amazing as incredible it really realistically does sound, there are, like, if we were to write down and go through everything something like that would require, there would be a lot of things to it. Like, for example, obviously, if we were to get, say, a guest, they would have to use the 2D editor. You would have to it's all of the little intricacies, like, hey, you've got to now light also in the manner of caring about all the frequency of the different HMDs. You've got to make sure that all of some certain patterns are avoided. You've got to make sure that split is happy with everything that you're doing. You've got to make sure that certain notes don't cross over certain audio levels, and you've got to then work with Yaroslav with that. And like, there's a lot of like, hey, it'd be amazing to do this, but ultimately, if let's say we got a guest mapper to just make a map, like a current custom one, let's say in mediocre mapper, and then if you were to give it to me and I was to translate it, like that might 100%, I could guarantee you that like 90% of your map would just be changed, right? It's not a,
people might be okay with that though. I think like if they got a chance to, I think they might be okay with, hey, we have everybody submit a map, and the best one gets picked, but then it gets edited to be in the game. I think people would mostly be okay with that because their game's,
but it gets edited to the point where you don't.
It's no longer your map.
Exactly, and that's literally what happened with Believer,
that would go against the point.
That's literally what happened with that. Yeah, and it gets disappointing. And it it happens more than you'd think. Yeah,
I don't think Audica has lights either. I'm not totally sure though, because I've never looked at the custom mapper.
Exactly, ZVender. Them changing it goes against the point, yes. As I was saying, when it comes to Split, he has his level of quality that he requires, and especially very, very early on not very early on, but I'd say all of 2018, when any official maps were made by any of us team members, it would go to Split and just get changed, right? It literally would get changed. And not just slight amounts, like, oh, we're scrapping this and starting it from the beginning. And so it kind of got to the point like, why are we even making maps? And this is reasons why Perf and Rustic don't even work for Beat Games anymore.
Because the expectations are so high.
Exactly right, and they're making maps and they're just getting destroyed. They're just changed. It's hard to say. For example, like you get released and I can't say, hey, this is my map. Is it realistically isn't? But over the time that myself and Yeza have been with Beat Games, there's a lot of progression that's happened to a point where we're happy and Split's happy, with agreements to make sure that the maps retain their original ideas. It's hard to put in words, but I hope you guys get the idea.
No, we understand. Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. Wait, so how did you transition from mediocre mapper to the 2D mapper?
A lot of patience, but definitely was something that was more a mental challenge than anything. But I'm at the point where I can do it just as quick as mediocre mapper. Yeah.
Very cool. So I'll ask one more from chat, and then I'll do my kind of closing up thing. What do you think makes a map unfun? This is a chat question.
Fun. So that is, you say it's a trap question?
Oh, a chat question. No, it's a question from chat. It's not my final question. No, I wouldn't ask you a trap question.
What makes a map unfun? So this is what you'd call
We have a ton of mappers. Everybody talking right now. We've got Cheese out there.
Yeah.
We've got Hexy. We've got Phrase. We've got Pug. We've got Puds. These are all guys that make maps right now, which I think is cool. Hi guys, I appreciate you being here.
So this is absolutely something that's more a personal response. But for me, something that makes a song unfun is not necessarily bad patterns and things like that, or cheese or anything like that. I remember even early on in custom mapping, who's that that guy who's notorious for bombs? I think it's Heisenberg. His name
Heisenberg.
Is.
Yep. The real Heisenberg.
Yeah. I remember really early on, like he would always make these bomb maps and give them to streamers, and they would complain and whinge about bombs and that, but I absolutely adored them, right? And not necessarily that it was bombs, but I could see that he may not have been at his peak game, but that he was trying something new. He was ignoring fucking everything that everyone said and was trying some new things and new ways, and I would adore and play them all, right? But this is kind of the venture of what makes a map unfun is when a map isn't made to its full potential, right? So how do I kind of explain that? It's like, I don't know, if you listen to a song that you really like, right? And you really adore it, you really enjoy it, you've listened to it for years, but then all of a sudden, I don't know, you've got an opportunity to listen to your favorite song through an incredibly expensive pair of headphones, right? Like, I don't know, $10,000 pair of headphones or something. And I'm not sure if any of you have experienced it, but it's like you're re-listening to the song all over again, right? And you're really enjoying it. And I feel like Beat Saber allows us to do this in its own different way. It allows us to experience songs, not just our favorite songs, but even songs we don't like, right? In an entirely new way. And I really enjoy when a mapper or when a song makes you feel a certain way and to act upon it. I guess an example, has nothing to do with Beat Saber, but like if anyone listens to Bohemian Rhapsody, right, just in general, it's really difficult when it comes to the guitar solo, not to jump up in the air and then act out an air guitar, right? Like that's an ingrained part of listening to that song. It's an extra layer. And with Beat Saber, there are certain sections of certain songs that kind of have that potential to have something there, but a lot of people don't act upon it. And this doesn't necessarily mean a chart is bad ever, but I can play a chart and really I'd say it gets me down a bit in going, oh my God, they could have done something so cool here, right? Make you feel really, really good. And to me, again, this is just personal then. So for me, what makes it unfun is when a song has potential that isn't acted upon, if that even makes sense.
I think it does. I think I hate to, well, it's going to be so obvious what I'm talking about, but like there's certain times when I'm playing a map, and I'm just going to say it. Like, I feel like Joe makes a lot of maps, and I feel like they're very similar, or they're not very special sometimes. Or, you know what I mean? Like, because he just pumps them out very, very quickly. And I think that's great. I think his quantity is amazing, and I think their levels are really very accessible for a lot of people. But sometimes I just don't feel that the map fits the song, if that makes sense. And I love Joe. I think that his maps are amazing. I think he's super talented. But sometimes I feel like a lot of his mapping is a little bit uninspired, and that's rough for me. Yeah, like it's kind of like sweatshop mapping. And yeah, there's maps that I play by Joe that are like, I can tell, like I felt like his Neon Genesis map, he spent a little more time on. You can tell when he loves the song or when he's really mapping for the song. And I mean, you can really feel it when you're playing a map, if it's just something that they threw out there. And I never feel like Joe just throws something out there, but he's just the first person I think of because it's kind of hit or miss for me sometimes. But yeah, I definitely get it. Well, some of them are inspired. Some of them are inspired, I think. But
I remember really early, I don't know why this is the example I can bring up, but that song, Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting, I remember someone charted that really, really early on. And I remember when I'm playing it, there's that part where it goes, ha! right? You know, just that in the chorus, and it goes ha. And all I'm thinking about, just like when you listen to the song, is just wanting to slash my hand out really wide, like a kung fu chop, right? And I remember playing it, and there wasn't never even a note on the ha, and I got so
It's very
mad
upsetting. It's
on
very
the
upsetting.
stream. I got so mad, and then immediately we're like, even though this literally wouldn't work at all, but this was really early. But I remember going, mate, they should make you like stand in an outside lane, have a three or a 2 wide wall, 2 of them with a gap between with a note in it, so that you'd have to stand on the outside of the wall and then slash the note between the walls as you go past. And like, I know that sounds weird, but like, it's that kind of acting upon that really is hard to ignore for me when I play custom maps. Very much so.
It's very, very important. I think that was all I had from chat.
Well, it's not too important. I mean, there's a ton of songs out there that don't act upon it. This is just personally what to me ruins songs for me.
I think that's important though. If it's like literally ruining a song for you, I mean, I feel like it's important. I feel like I'm gonna say, you don't have to say it's important. I think it's important because
it is important.
And that's if it doesn't fit the music, you know what I mean? Like that's what's so great about Beat Saber is we were actually talking about this with Alto, because Alto maps like these experiences, his lights and his walls, and he maps these. It's really cool, and I really, really like that. I like experiencing the music from like the first note to the last note, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily always have to be gimmick, you know what I mean? But the gimmicks are cool too. Hey, BB, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just started laughing there because I remembered another song. It was.
I thought you were laughing at me. I'm like, listen, buddy.
No. The Macarena. I think someone charted that, and I have a fairly high up clip on my Twitch where I'm playing it, and then when it does the standard transition in the dance where you jump 90 degrees to the right, I did that, kept playing and failed, and it was just to make people laugh. But now I'm realizing with 360 mode, someone will be able to act upon that properly with Macarena. You jump to the right.
Oh,
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Someone has to do that if it's not me by myself.
Dance maps.
OST Macarena.
Is there anyone on Beat Saber team that can actually play Expert Plus maps? Yes, myself and Umbra are the primary testers of it. Am I single? No, as of last week, I am not.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So I'm sorry, Falcon. I am no longer yours.
Where did you see that? I didn't see that. Oh, I got a question. Are you single? Ooh, woo. Oh, Falcon's very disappointed. I'm so sorry, Falcon, for your loss.
That he is. Alto,
Imagine not being a powerful, independent mapper.
I was just talking about Alto, and he heard me. I summoned him. He was one of our guests last week with Rinku Senpai. Rinku did the Rockefeller Street.
I'm going to PAX this year, Falcon. I hope you're there again. Is anyone in Australia in the chat? You should come to PAX Oz. Come say hi and party. October.
Yeah. He's from Western Australia.
Western Australia, mate.
So we've been here 2.5 hours. It flies by. When I talk to the mappers before we start, you guys, I'm like, oh my god, thank you so much. Somebody gifted you a sub. Somebody gifted Falcon a sub. I love you. I always tell the mappers, I aim for it to be about an hour, but if we go, oh my god, thank you, Clouder. I aim for it to be about an hour, but if we go over, it's not a big deal. I just don't want to have to talk awkwardly to myself for an hour and to Clouder for an hour.
No. This is a lot of fun.
2.5 hours,
it is.
easy.
I'd love to join you again at some point.
Of course,
Definitely.
we would gladly have you come back next time something, but we're not leaving yet. Thank you so much for the chair, Sayon. We want to talk about how do you feel that you've grown as a mapper? We'll do the closing up stuff, but we're not leaving yet.
How do I feel like I've grown as a mapper?
Yeah, I mean, you've had kind of an incredible mapping journey with Beat Games and with Beat Saber.
I don't know. That's I actually don't know how to answer that. I guess I set myself up for this is actually terminology from another job I had, but it feels appropriate. I set myself up for success during the beginning by allowing my experimentation to build me to not what is, say, beloved by people, but I know what isn't liked, so that I have this an incredible amount of space to be creative with. I feel like early on in the mapping game, I guess I really was quite immature personality wise, with the community itself, especially with a lot of shit that happened around TTFAF, which may be a story for another day. But you know, I guess just maturing in general. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I'm in a good spot. I'm happy. The team's happy. I get to meet them soon. Like, yeah, it's been an incredible journey. Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
sorry. I'm not holding a sandwich. No.
No, hot dog or sandwich. Which one?
Oh,
So,
sorry. For
yeah,
some
yeah.
reason, I thought you said,
Are you holding a
one?"
sandwich? I wish I was holding a sandwich.
I
Same,
love
I'm
my
hungry.
sandwiches, mate. Love my sandwiches. So
Yeah, we do a thing
sandwich
on my stream. It's called
easy.
Choose Wisely, where you have to pick between one or the other, and you can't say both because there's a lot of rules. We'll do that next time. But it's like hot dogs, hamburgers, that type of thing. If it's a slow interview, that's a game that I have set up to play, but I've never had to play it because it's everybody they start off and bam, you start talking about mapping and Beat Saber, and it's always just like super quick. So I want to ask you too, what have you learned from Beat Saber and how has it affected your life? Which I ask this of everybody, but I feel like it's really affected your life kind of in really meaningful ways because you actually work for Beat Games now and you've combined.
What have I learned?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because how it's impacted is self-explanatory, and we've discussed that for 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But what a what I have learned. I've learned that even in a community of 180,000 people, that things actually no. I have learned, although it seems self-explanatory to everyone, that there is no point in focusing ever on negative stuff. You cannot appease absolutely everybody in anything that you do. You will always have haters and whatever else you'll call, and I'll wear them on my shoulder, right? There's something that you should never ignore, but you should never take it to heart, right? Use it as an opportunity not to better yourself, but to focus on those that appreciate what you do, right? And take them. If you make a chart, for example, and 90% of all people hate it, right? That is not something you should give a shit about, right? You need to focus on those 10% of people who really enjoy it, right? Those people who private message you with thank you messages and things like this, the people that notice the little details and things that you do in the maps. It's all that stuff is the stuff you should focus on. You should never let things get you down. I see people people we've already talked about on the stream, but I've seen people who, they'll post on Twitter like, oh no, like I've got 100 upvotes but 4 downvotes. Where are those 4 come from? It's really getting me down. Oh no, the review systems aren't up. I don't know how well I'm doing. Stuff like that. It shouldn't be a mental thing. It shouldn't affect you. And that's something that really early on started affecting me, but I quickly adapted and changed and realized that it doesn't matter. And you should focus on what makes you happy and makes you excited. Like not everyone can draw, but people love to draw, and it may end up being crappy, whatever. But if you enjoyed it, that's all that matters. And that same kind of thing is what should be also, and I heavily believe, and say people should as well, in when it comes to charting for this game.
And I think that's so important. That's something we actually talk about on here a lot is especially when it comes to like creative endeavors or like creation in general, sharing your art and sharing things like that can be really hard. And taking that, when I write, I'm a writer and I do a lot of creative writing. And when I first started joining like writer circles and sending my writing to people and they would send it back and it's just torn apart, that was really difficult for me at first. And I mean, it's still hard, but I've gotten to a point now where I do not take it personally whatsoever. I send my stuff to people for critique and I expect it to be critiqued, and you can kind of expect that if you're going to put something out in the world, you have to expect that people aren't going to like it. They're going to tell you what they think about it, and you can take what you want from that criticism, and ignore what you want to ignore and just try and move forward towards whatever it is that you're trying to be with your art or whatever you're creating. And if you're sending things into the ranking team members and you want to be ranked, be prepared for them to tell you what they don't like about it, and hopefully people can just not take it personally, because it's very hard. It's very hard to do, because a lot of times art is like your soul, and so when people are telling you it's horrible, it's very difficult to not take that personally, but it is absolutely very important.
And a bit of advice that I have for people who do give feedback: there are 4 different types of feedback that you can give. Something called positive specific, negative specific, positive general, and negative general, right? And when it comes to the positive side, you got positive specific and positive general. Positive general is when you say, mate, that was great, right? Although it's great, and definitely say that kind of thing, it can really, you have no idea how much it better improve someone's mood in a day, right? If you really enjoyed a map, go and tell someone that, tag them, right? You have no idea how amazing it does feel, right? If you want to get a bit more like into things, positive specific is great, meaning I really like that pattern that you did at this part. I really appreciate it. That's the best thing you can do for people. But like if you really want to get in discussion, my DMs are always open if you guys ever need to ask me anything for anything, by the way. But on the negative side, and this goes both ways, not just for the people giving feedback, but also the charters themselves, is you've got negative specific and negative general. Negative specific is when and this is something that I also advise people to do, but on the mapper side, you have to stop taking offense. If someone comes to you and says, hey, this part that's halfway through this pattern, it doesn't work. Here's why it doesn't work, right? That is it is, out of all the 4 types of feedback you can give, it is honestly one of the best you can give. But at the same time, if you ever receive feedback like that, do not take offense. Another name for it is constructive criticism, right? And, to be able to, if you can tell the difference between negative specific and negative general, then mate, you're going to enjoy yourself in general just a lot more. So a negative general is when someone says, this is shit, right? This is garbage. What are you doing? This one over here is much better, right? Ignore that kind of stuff. If you can do that and focus on the other 3 types, you're going to enjoy yourself, not just in the Beat Saber community a lot more, but if you can apply that even to your life, all right, you'll be a lot happier.
Yeah, it's so important. I used to just cry and cry when people like would tear my writing apart, and now it's so helpful, because anything that you can grow from and get better from, right? Like, you become a better mapper because of that. Very important stuff. Importante. I try so hard not to call things garbage. That's the other thing. If you're giving feedback to mappers, he touched on this a little bit. I talk about this a lot in chat and while I'm streaming. Thank the people that map. If you play a song and you really like it and you think it's amazing, tell that mapper, upload the video to YouTube. Like, it means a lot to people, because they're doing, a lot of people, Freek's not, but a lot of people are doing it for free, and Freek is doing it for money because he did it for free with such a passion that Beat Games noticed it. But they're spending all this time making something that you can enjoy and you can play, and it just takes a second to say, hey, thanks. So thank your mappers. If you see somebody in chat that that you've recognized, you've played their map before, let them know what you like about it, and it makes a huge difference. If you're going to give bad feedback, a lot of times it really helps to start that feedback, or not bad, but constructive feedback, start that off with something that you like about the map. Like, hey, I really enjoyed X map. It was an absolute bop. I really love the song choice. There's some really cool patterns here, and here, but I really think that this part needs to change. And that makes it a lot easier for people to hear, just mentally speaking. So just a little tip. Yeah, a lot of people calling older songs garbage, even though it's just so different. And then the last thing I like to ask, which we've talked about this kind of a little bit, that's kind of the theme of what we're talking about now. But if you had any advice for new mappers, which I think you've gone over some of it, what would be the biggest piece of advice for them? Just do what you love.
It would be that Reddit link. If you want to put that in chat again, that I gave you. But it's literally never ever at any point make your primary focus that what you are making is for others, unless you work for Beat Games. But as a custom mapper, make them for yourself, right? Don't do it for other people. I'm not going to go into a big thing. Just that. Yeah.
Do as I say, not as I do. That's right. Unless you're working for Beat Games and your job is literally to map for millions of people. Over 1 million copies sold.
Yeah.
So I was going to do a multiplayer session to have some time afterwards, but I feel like we went for long enough, so I think I'll just find somebody to raid. But before I do that, so what I usually do is we just kind of say our goodbyes. I say thank you guys so much for being here with me. I had an absolute blast talking to you. I would love to have you back on anytime anything new happens at Beat Games, like when the new OST comes out, if you want to come on and talk about that.
Interview we have for time now.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I would love that. We've had Benny on twice, so I'm definitely down if you're down.
Oh, I absolutely am. We only scratched the surface.
I know.
We only talked about experimenting in 2 maps, right? And I got like 50 of them. So,
and we talked a little bit about your past, but I feel like people showed up after that, and I wanted to talk about that again, but I'm like, I don't want to make them talk about the injury. So yeah, I would definitely love to have you on. I had such a blast talking to you. It was an absolute joy. Thank you so much for waking up early. He's in Australia, you guys. That's where that amazing accent that's what you're hearing is from. Did you want to say anything to the chat?
Thank you in general. I recognize almost all of your names, and I don't mean thank you just for coming to the chat today, but I know I've seen a lot of you guys from the beginning, and I wouldn't literally be given this lifetime opportunity in general of working with Beat Games if it wasn't for all of the little adventures and things that we've had in the discussions and that. And I know a lot of people these days, maybe if I come and say hi and stuff like that, they kind of, take a step back. Oh no, Beat Games guys here, things like that. But, I still love you all. I still want to talk a ton. Even Ashley and Cloud are here. Like unfortunately, I've been a bit of a dick and never really talked to either of you since the very beginning. So it's been a lot of
you always talk every time I
come, comforting and stuff.
Every time I've come into your stream, you've always talked to me and said hi. But I mean, you're super busy, so we get it. They love you. We love you. How much for PayPal for Twitter follow? Shut up, you guys. Uh-oh. Wait, I lost Discord for like half a second. Are you back? Hi. You did. Say that again. You might be back now. Thank you, Discord. Yeah, I lost them both. I'll add them to a call. Let's see if this works better. Hi.
What happened there? Your net died.
No, I think it says I'm connected, but then you just turn into a robot. But this is working. Hi. Okay, so what were you saying?
Australian internet, yes.
But yeah, you were saying thank you to everybody that you wouldn't have had this opportunity without. Yeah, Discord might have died.
Oh yeah. Wait, is it died again? Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, cool. No, yeah. Now I was saying, did you hear the part where I talked about you two, you and Clouder?
Mm-hmm. And I was saying like okay. you've always said hi to me, like when I show up on in your streams and stuff like that. And then I think that's when everything died. So you can continue.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, never fear. A lot of people seem to fear when they tag me or DM me or at me on Twitter. Like, absolutely not. I have time to talk to bloody everyone. If you want to come say hi, tell me about your day, everything like that. I'm not that scary. Come say hi. We'll talk. It's been fun.
Yeah, I had a blast. I can't get Clouder in here, but
I'm sorry, Clouder.
I miss you, Clouder. I'm very sorry. We love you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and talking. I know. Tell us that you love us, Clouder, from chat, so that we know that you do.
Indeed.
We love you. So what I'll do is, if you want to try and hop back into that channel, I'm going to mute and deafen my Discord, and I'll say kind of goodbye to the chat. But don't leave, because I do want to hop into Discord and just say goodbye to you and all that good stuff. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you, chat. Say goodbye to Freeek, chat. Say thank you.
Bye, everybody.
All right. See you in a bit. I will join. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day.
No.
I cut him off. All right. So that was weird. My Discord died. But yeah, that was super fun, right? Did you guys have fun? I had a lot of fun. So something very cool is tomorrow we're actually having 2 block talks this week. 2. Stop, cheese. I'm doing my best, okay? We're having 2 block talks this week. We had Freeek today because he is an Aussie, and I really wanted to interview him. As soon as Elliot was like, hey, can you interview Freeek? I was like, yes, absolutely. Like, I will do whatever I need to do to get that in. But then tomorrow we're doing another block talk. We're going to be interviewing Hexagonial, and we're going to be interviewing Sook. I'm sorry, Sook. I keep calling you Soup, and that's very upsetting. We're interviewing Sook and Hexagonial tomorrow. Hexy's been one of my most requested mappers, so I'm really excited to do that. And it's Hexy's birthday tomorrow. So we will be celebrating his birthday on BloqTalk, and I have some really special stuff planned. Oh, thank you so much for gifting this up to Soup. Yep, so it is his birthday. So I have some stuff planned for Hexagonial's birthday. Some surprises that are not surprises anymore, because I just ruined them, because I'm bad at surprises. And then I'm very excited because now we can have Freeek on again, because that was super awesome. He was super easy to talk to. And now we can talk to him when like OSTs come out or like news drops. I can just bring him on. We can talk about stuff. Very cool. Thank you, Kanye. So yeah, thank you so much to Freeek. Thank you so much to you guys for hanging out. I was going to play multiplayer with you guys, but it's like 10 o'clock now because that was like our longest block talk yet, but it was super fun. Thank you so much for the gift subs tonight. I am going to be here tomorrow with those 2 guys. I will not be here Saturday, and then I am casting on Sunday. Clouder's casting both days, Saturday and Sunday of the SSS tournament. I will be casting on Sunday. I'm in Vancouver until Sunday afternoon, and then as soon as I get home, I'll cast for a little while. And then right at the end of the tournament. So that'll be exciting. No, thank you for being here. So yeah, and then next week on Friday, Danny and Charlie will be here. So Danny Hopper, the one of the super masterminds behind Cube Community, is going to be visiting me at my house with Charlie. And they'll be here for a week, so we're going to do a block talk from my house with the 2 of them. We'll interview them. Yeah, they're wonderful human beings. So that'll be really cool. And then the week after that, the Friday after that, I will be at Anime Expo with like Xander and Lurl and TH and Hammerman and Dankorrupt Memer and Rogdude and Scion, just a bunch of people from the Beat Saber community, and it will actually be my 1-year streaming anniversary on that day. So we'll be doing block talk from the house with my Beat Saber house. You can talk to all of us. You'll be there. Yeah, so we'll be doing block talk from the house. I have looked into renting a podcast equipment thingy, and Waxed is helping me set it up. It has 6 microphones, so we'll be doing hi Kantori. So we'll be doing not only will it be my 1-year stream anniversary with you guys, but it will also be a block talk with the whole Beat Saber house. So I think that'll be really, really cool. And yeah, I get to go to Anime Expo. And TwitchCon tickets went on sale, so I have to start planning TwitchCon as well. So yeah, who do you guys want to go say hi to? Who is streaming? Well, let's take a look-see. Where's Twitch? Here it is. We've got Golfu. We've got Denarian. We've got Megalon. We've got Cutie Pop. So many people are streaming. Who do you want to say hi to? Wyatt Golfu? Do you want to say hi to Golfu? Is Oddloop on? Is he asleep? Wait. Why am I not following Oddloop? Am I not? I am. But they are live. Why are they not showing up on my list? 99? Oh, they are. I'm just blind. I'm blind. Okay, that's who you vote for. That's who you get. It's up to you guys. All right, we go say hi. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Yeah, hop in the raid. We'll take you over. I miss you, Kentori. He's here too. He's everywhere. I love you guys. If you're playing in the tournament this weekend, good luck. Get lots of practice. See you guys tomorrow with hexagonial and soup. Yes, yes, we go now. Eat lots of food tonight. Get lots of sleep. Pet cute animals. I love you. Here we go.